This is Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, and it has come down to this. The winner of tonight's game will move on to the National League Championship Series, and for the loser, their season is over. It is the deciding game of the NLDS Best of 5 between the underdog St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies. And welcome everyone to Philadelphia. I'm Dick Stockton, and this game would stand on its own. However, we have a unique situation tonight because we have a classic matchup on the mound. And Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay, two of the premier pitchers of the game who have been very close friends for the last decade and are facing each other for the first time in their career. And as the situation would dictate, we have two former hurlers with us, Ron Darling and John Smoltz. John, your thoughts?
Well, never has there been more pressure on a city, that a team that has been built to win the World Series. And if they're going to continue, they pin their hopes on Doc Halladay. And I like their chances when you bring out the arguably best pitcher in baseball. Look what he did game one. Had a little bit of hiccups early with the 3 runs, but then settled down nicely and retired 21 straight. And for the other side, Carpenter, a team that's playing very loose, a miracle finish. They pin the hopes on Carpenter, and you know that the St. Louis Cardinals like their chances. Both teams have their aces going for them. Should be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
And Ron, what's your take?
Well, when you think about it, John and I did a game 5 at Yankee Stadium yesterday, and you knew the bullpen was going to get most of the big outs. They started 2 young starters. That's not going to happen here. There's no one in the bullpen that's any better than these 2 starters, and you can see their career just outstanding. Tony La Russa, since the Cardinals stole game 2, has been waiting for this redemption for Carpenter in game 5. Well, he's got it.
All right, so the stage is set, and not to take a back seat are the sluggers. Ryan Howard looking to get on track, and Albert Pujols of the Cardinals. And coming up, the starting lineups and the first pitch from Philadelphia.
The League Division Series on TBS is brought to you by Citibank. Write your story with the new Citi Simplicity Card. By Subway Restaurants, it's Anytober. This October, any footlong is a $5 footlong. By Nissan, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. And by nutritious and delicious avocados from Mexico.
"60 degrees as the game gets underway as the Phillies take the field. And tonight's batting order brought to you by Autotrader.com. For the Cardinals, Rafael Furcal will be at shortstop. Skip Schumacher will be in center field batting second. Albert Pujols hitting third at first base. Lance Berkman will be in right field. Matt Halladay is in left. Yadier Molina behind the plate. David Freese at third base. Making his first start in the series is Nick Punto. He'll be at second base. And Chris Carpenter batting ninth, the pitcher, facing Roy Halladay, making his second start, and was the game 1 pitcher for the Phillies.
Well, these guys, when they get ready for a game, any game, every game's like a playoff game. They're very serious. They don't talk to anybody. They're into their mode. They're in the tunnel. And every pitcher in a game like this just wants to get into the flow. And sometimes it takes a little longer, Ron, to get into the flow. But if you can get into it right away, then it's just baseball as normal.
What did Charlie Manuel say before the game? He said, what do you do to get Roy ready for these games? He goes, I say hello, and that's it.
And very few people expected the Cardinals, first of all, to get into these playoffs, and second of all, to extend a team that had their franchise year with 102 wins, John, to be extended to 5 games.
Absolutely, and you're in a place right now with one of the greatest home field advantage. You want to keep your fans as into the game as possible. Be careful with Rafael Furcal on the first pitch. He's been known to try and jump that pitcher's fastball, but Doc Halladay has all of these kind of reports in his back pocket.
Rafael Furcal stepping in, and the rally towels are out in force here in Philadelphia. Furcal had a first inning single and a stolen base against Halladay in game number 1. 1-0 the count. Switch hitting for Furcal, 1 for his last 11. Quiet from the Dodgers, battled hamstring problems at the end of the year. 1-1. Call will be followed by Schumacher and Pujols. 2-1.
Well, the players aren't the only ones that have pressure. The home plate umpire with these two great pitchers, he's going to make it awfully difficult because they normally hit their spots. And we'll see what kind of game Gary is behind the plate.
And there's a drive hit to right center field. Victorino chases it, and it's over his head and off the wall. For Call, rounding second and heading for third as the ball gets loose in the outfield, and a lot closer than expected with the ball getting loose. And Rafael for Call with a leadoff triple to start the game.
It doesn't matter if the Cy Young's on the mound. If you get behind these hitters, 2-1 count, they are going to tee off. Little fastball up in the strike zone by Halladay over the head of Gold Glover Victorino in center field. And by the time he picks it up, he misses the cutoff man. It bounces on nothing. So by the time Rollins gets it, a slide and a triple.
And Skip Schumacher, who is 5 for 8, hitting .625 in this series, looks at a breaking ball on the outside corner for a strike.
Here's a situation right here that you don't wait for anybody else to get the job done. You get the ball on the ground somewhere, get the run in, get your team ahead. Don't rely on anybody else to do the job. Because what Doc Halladay is really good at, he can get 3 outs before that runner scores just as easy.
They always talk about him working the outside 3 inches of each corner of the plate. When guys are on base, it's the last inch of each corner of the plate.
Just getting a piece of it is Schumacher. Interesting that in that game 1, he led off the second inning with a single before Halladay retired 21 in a row. And there's Pujols on deck.
If you're going to get Doc, it has to be early.
Cardinals took the season series from the Phillies 6-3. Although, as Charlie Manuel points out, the last 3 occurred after the Phillies had clinched the division. Just missed outside. 1-2.
Boy, good pitch there, John. You see Ruiz behind the plate. Lots of movement. Might have taken that away.
And a good at-bat for Skip Schumacher here.
Already the Cardinals have worked the count for a call to get the 2-1, and Schumacher now has fouled off 4 real difficult pitches.
One thing as a hitter here, you give up of yourself with any thought of getting a hit with 2 strikes. Put it in play, cut down your swing, and the Cardinals will be leading 1-0.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. And the target was outside the strike zone, and that's where the pitch went, hoping that Schumacher would chase it, and it's 2-2. Pujols on deck and Lance Berkman to follow. And another foul ball.
I think if you're Gary Cederstrom, the home plate umpire, you can't be enticed or intoxicated by the greatness of both these pitchers. You want to call strikes. You know they can make the pitches, but you have to make sure they're on the corners. Make it fair for both teams.
And the ball hit off to the right, foul. Speaking of the umpires, Gary Cederstrom calling balls and strikes. Chad Fairchild is the umpire at first. Chris Guccione at second. Jerry Meals at third. Crew chief Jerry Lane down the left field line, and Angel Hernandez is the umpire down the right field line. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Schumacher for a call with a leadoff triple. The 10th pitch of the at-bat, and a line drive down the right field line, and it is a fair ball into the corner. Call will score, and Schumacher will go into second with a double. So a pair of extra base hits, and the Cardinals have taken a 1-0 lead.
Well, what what you have here is the hitter fouls off every great pitch that Halladay threw, and the one bad pitch that he could hit, he took advantage of it, a hanging curveball over the middle of the plate. These are the kind of things early on. I talked about getting into the flow. Well, now Doc's going to have to be pressed into that flow of being perfect for most of the rest of this inning and the game.
And here's Albert Pujols, who's had a big series average-wise, and he fouls off the first pitch. Pujols had a 4-hit game in which he had 3 doubles, but he has had only 1 run batted in and a chance to give the Cardinals another run with Schumacher in scoring position. And he gets jammed in a pop-up that Utley goes to third, and out at third base is Schumacher. An alert play by Chase Utley on a ball that had a lot of English run, and he managed to get Schumacher at third, a big first out for the Phillies.
Well, the problem here is Pujols gets jammed, but bad read by Schumacher off the bat. You can see Pujols saying, leave, go. That ball's going to drop in. Utley playing on the grass. He's not going to get to it. Schumacher's got to get to third base. Alert by Utley. And Utley, who was caught at third earlier in the season, catches someone else.
Yes, in the last game, Albert Pujols came off the bag and nailed him going to third when he was running on a ground ball. So there's 1 away, and now Pujols the base runner at first.
Well, there's these type of points in the game you hope don't come back to haunt you. They're 1 for 1. One good job getting the runner in, one job of not getting the good jump you need to create more pressure for the Phillies. This Phillies team is one of those teams where you've got to create pressure on the pitcher, and that was one thing that let him off the hook.
Lance Berkman, who hit a 3-run homer off of Halladay in the first inning of game 1, has 4 runs batted in, and in fact 2 homers against Halladay in the last month. And the ball getting away from Carlos Ruiz, and Pujols will move down to second base.
Boy, these are things you just don't see happen to the Phillies early in the Halladay start. A couple of mistakes with breaking balls for base hits, extra base hits, and a ball eluding Ruiz, the catcher, who's one of the best in the game.
A wild pitch has been charged to Roy Halladay. So the Cardinals with their 3rd runner in scoring position here in the first inning. Count is 1-1 to Lance Berkman. 1-2, and this was the home run in the first inning that gave the Cardinals a 3-0 lead, stunning this crowd. And the Phillies came back and won.
You know, Tony La Russa talked about Berkman saying he's such a pro. He's just one of those guys that is ready to hit the first pitch, but he also has great plate recognition.
Next pitch will be the 20th here in the top of the first. Two balls, 2 strikes to Berkman with Matt Halladay on deck. Fouling it off, and the count remains 2-2 with Lance Berkman talking about what a pitcher has. He says, and now they're saying he was hit by the pitch. Catcher's interference. Yep.
Sometimes you cannot blame the catcher for catcher's interference. What happens is that the hitter will swing so late. That's what happened to Berkman. He is fooled by the pitch, swings so late that he swings right down on the glove of Ruiz, causing this catcher's interference, just catching the tip of his glove.
Charlie Manuel out to get the ruling from Gary Cederstrom, and it was clear that the glove was out there and the bat hit it, so now the runners are at first and second.
I've always hated that rule because if you're rewarded for swinging poorly.
So Matt Halladay, who made his first start in game 4, stepping in and taking ball 1. So for Roy Halladay, a struggle so far in this first inning.
Well, what the Cardinals have done a good job is spoiled every really tough pitch he's thrown. And when you face Doc Holliday, that's exactly what you have to do. Easier said than done. And one thing in a game like this, when you have hitters that are patient and don't speed the game up, you got a chance against a great pitcher.
1-1 to Matt Holliday, and in his first start went 1 for 3, was hit by a pitch and scored 2 runs. Yadier Molina on deck. And Matt Holliday swings and misses. And now it's 1-2, trying to get out of a first inning jam, and 1 run wouldn't be all that bad for Roy Halladay. Catcher's interference call, by the way, goes as an error charged to Ruiz. That's the second error of the series charged to the Phillies. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and two. Roy Halladay giving up 3 runs in the first game of the series. Phillies came back and won 3 of the 4 games. The team that took the lead ended up on the short end.
Yeah, as long as it's not a really big inning and you haven't gotten your team too far behind. We've all seen Doc run off 20, 19, shoot perfect games.
And a full count. First 3-2 count we've had in this first inning. Pitches thrown by Roy Halladay, and a pop-up in foul territory. Placido Polanco has a play and makes the catch for the second out. And the runners hold. Pujols at second and Berkman at first.
Well, when a guy has an injury, you're going to try to find out how difficult he is to swing the bat. He goes with a cutter away, and then he starts throwing some harder cutters. Look, Halladay doesn't throw anything straight. 2-seamer in, another seamer in, and then he tries to get him to chase out of the strike zone. And he doesn't bite. Good discipline, and he hangs he doesn't hang a curveball. He makes a good curveball that he pops up to the third baseman.
So with 2 down and 2 on, Yadier Molina, the Cardinal catcher, 3 of 15 and 1 run batted in, hitting 200 in the series. And 1 for 8 lifetime against Halladay. And it's fouled back, and the Milwaukee Brewers have defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-2 in a deciding 5th game. So the winner of this contest will go against the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series that you will see on TBS. And that series will begin Sunday.
They certainly have some attention they're going to be watching here to see if they start at home or make their trek out here to open up with Philly.
Check swing by Molina, and it's 1-1.
I don't know if I've ever seen Halladay throw this many breaking pitches in the first inning. Trying to get these St. Louis Cardinals hitters to bite. They're not so far.
But with a leadoff triple and a double, to get out of this with only 1 run would be major for Halladay. 2-1. And ground ball to Rollins. He'll get the force, and that'll do it. 33 pitches thrown by Roy Halladay, but for Hall's triple and Schumacher's RBI double, giving the Cardinals a 1-0 lead. Phillies coming up in the first. Cardinals getting a run in the first inning, and now the Phillies coming up against Chris Carpenter. And today's batting order brought to you by Autotrader.com for the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins red hot. Leading off, Chase Utley has been great. Batting second, Hunter Pence hitting third, and Ryan Howard batting cleanup. Shane Victorino in the 5th slot. Raul Ibanez batting 6th. In the 7th position, Placido Polanco. Carlos Ruiz hitting 8th, and Roy Halladay batting 9th against Chris Carpenter, going on normal rest tonight after lasting 3 innings in Game 2.
Well, these guys are out of the same mold. Big guys that use their front leg and really get through their pitches. 3/4 arm delivery with a lot of different stuff they can throw at you.
Carpenter 11-9 and pitched more innings than anyone in the National League with 237 in the 3rd.
Well, it doesn't look like great numbers for Carpenter, but he started 1-7. He finished 10-2. That's more like Carpenter's numbers.
And did not get the run support for most of the season. 0-2, and Rollins hits it in the air to right center field. Schumacher calling for it and makes the catch. And Rollins is retired, coming in with 9 hits, leading the Phillies. Let's take a look at the Cardinals defensively, and Schumacher played only 1 game in center field in the regular season.
They see Pujols with the 2 Gold Gloves and the 3 Gold Gloves from Molina, one of the best defensive catchers in the game.
But the Cardinals were a team that had their problems defensively during the course of the year as Chase Utley steps up. Utley has been on base 10 times, has 2 doubles and a triple, has scored 5 runs. So the Phillies offense, no complaints with Rollins and Utley to start the lineup.
Yeah, they've created havoc, and normally when they do that, that spells trouble for the opposing pitcher. I think for Carpenter today, a big time success factor is going to be how he handles his curveball. It's a weapon he can go to at any time. If he's throwing it for strikes like that, it's going to be a big game.
0-2 to Utley with Hunter Pence on deck for the Phillies.
Utley's had an injury-marred season. We were talking to Charlie Manuel today. He said, listen, when he's at top of his game, he's delivering 25 to 30 home runs, driving in 100, scoring 100, but right now is about 3/4 of the player he can be, so that's why I put him in the 2-hole.
And he hadn't really hit, and then you turn on the lights in postseason, and he comes alive. And Utley, strikeout victim here, and there are 2 down on the first strikeout for Carpenter.
Well, basically what we talked about is if he's got this pitch going, it's such a great change of speed. 74 miles an hour with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Awfully tough to hit when the hitter sees it at one plane and it drops about 3 feet. That's going to be difficult.
That brings up Hunter Pence. Big acquisition from the Houston Astros. Perhaps the final piece of the puzzle for the Phillies. Hitting 267. And Hunter Pence with 4 RBIs in this series. He has 4 hits, but all of them have been singles. Strike 1 to him.
John, you talked about that first game where Carpenter only went 3 innings. Charlie Manuel said they were taking that pitch down out of the strike zone, but Carpenter has countered in this game by trying to pump in that first pitch strike.
Well, he's got a full assortment of pitches that he can go to. He's developed a hard cutter, messes with a split a little bit, but I think the command of his fastball, he can run it into right-handers away from lefties, but that big curveball, as we talked about, is a built-in change of speed that gets guys off of his fastball.
The 2-1 pitch, and grounded to Furcal. And Chris Carpenter, a lot better in this outing than he had in the first inning in his first appearance. 1-2-3 inning, Phillies are retired. The Conan Blimp and aerial coverage are brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible, and don't miss a moment of Conan, all new weeknights on TBS. Cardinals coming up in the top of the 2nd inning with the bottom 1/3 of their batting order, and David Freese, who is the batting hero in Game 4, as the Cardinals won to force a deciding game tonight. And the first pitch in for a strike from Roy Halladay. Halladay threw 33 pitches in the first inning. And the Cardinals jumped on him with a triple and a double, scored a run, and then shut the door. But not before the Cardinals had many good at-bats. The count 0-2 to Freeze.
I think what Halladay does is it's almost like judging what the hitters are going to do against him in the first, and they weren't coming out of their shoes trying to swing, because everybody knows when you face Halladay, it's 0-2 before you get a chance to do anything, so why take pitches?
Two balls and two strikes. Halladay, second in the National League with a 2.35 earned run average, and tied for third in the league in strikeouts. And Freeze strikes out for out number one in the second inning. Well, the big story in St. Louis, the Squirrels perhaps. I think they've made an appearance here, Craig Sager.
Well, you know, Dick, superstition does play a major role in baseball lore, and yes, the Cardinals' rally squirrel has appeared in Philadelphia. We first saw him Wednesday night running across home plate just prior to the Cardinals' rally to put that game away. And then, sure enough, 2 nights later, Tony La Russa predicted that we would see the squirrel here in Philadelphia. And the squirrel is out there prior to today's game, running across the field during the Phillies pregame warm-up. And that again is Roy Oswalt having problems with the squirrel. Now during that stretch run in September.
Line drive right to Polanco for the second out.
Well, during that stretch run in September, the Cardinals had a rallying cry. Win one for Torty. That was Alan Craig's pet tortoise. Torty. Now, La Russa says Torty and Scardy are in the suite up here watching the game. And, Dick, that's the story in a nutshell.
Here is Carpenter with a ground ball to Rollins. They have a nicer suite than we have. 1-2-3 inning. Cardinals retired in order in the second. National League Division Series coverage on TBS is brought to you in HD by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Well, Ryan Howard will lead off for the Phillies in the bottom of the second inning. And all of Philadelphia and Charlie Manuel waiting for Howard to right himself at the plate. He is 2 for 15. He has a 3-run homer for one of those hits, but he is 0 for his last 11 with 6 strikeouts after a single to knock in a couple of runs in game number 2.
That right there is a perfect example as a pitcher. That tells me he's trying to get it going. He's trying to get the bat and the barrel out, trying to beat the fastball, and he's just too aggressive. Plate awareness is gone, and he's pressing. And in a short series, that's what can happen. But in 162 games, it'll even itself out.
1-1 to Howard with Victorino and Ibanez to follow here in the second. It's sharply, but right at Nick Punto. And Howard is retired now, 0 for his last 12. 1 gone in the second with Shane Victorino stepping up. It's been a struggle for the middle of that batting order with Howard with 133. Hence, 1 for his last 10, and Victorino with 4 hits, all singles. Chopped foul. Third baseman David Freese playing a few steps in at third, respecting the bunt possibility.
Well, Victorino's been their most versatile offensive performer. This is his 24th time hitting in the 5-hole. He's led off 51 times. He's hit first, second, and third in this Phillies lineup. You're talking about the bottom of the order, middle of the order, Dick. You get down to the bottom of the order, get to Ruiz and Polanco, 3 for 30. It's not going to make it work.
1-1.
one of the things that every club has to have is the fear factor. And for the longest time, they could hit a lot of home runs, score some runs, and they had that fear in that offense. Now their pitching staff has become the fear factor because they quiet all the offense, but you do have to score to win. And we saw this last year when San Francisco came in and basically shut down the lineup.
There are hitting inconsistencies that the Phillies fall into every now and then. We've seen it in the last few years. They dropped 8 in a row toward the end of the year, then won 4 straight, and were hitting well then. And that's always a concern for Charlie Manuel.
You know, John mentioned it before. Teams that during the regular season spend most of their time scoring the majority of their runs with the home run. It dries up in the postseason. It just does not happen. You don't see a lot of Lance Berkman 3-run home runs in the postseason.
2-2 to Victorino. Tony La Russa set up his rotation with an eye to game number 5, and that's why he went with Chris Carpenter on short rest in the second game of the series. Of course, he wasn't counting on a 3-inning stint in game number 2, but he's got his man out there tonight. And a line drive down the right field line, fair ball into the corner. Lance Berkman goes after it. Victorino with speed, and he'll stop at second base with a 1-out double in the first hit of the game for the Phillies.
Well, whenever you watch Victorino, down and in from the left side is his strength, and that's where that pitch is, more of the middle of the plate. But always hustle from Victorino. This ball down the line. By the time Berkman gets to it, no chance to make a play at second base for the Flying Hawaiian.
Well, he's so far on the plate, he invites you to throw it in there, and any movement back over the middle gives him the luxury to keep it fair. Most guys can't even keep that ball fair.
Raul Ibanez, the left fielder, and at age 39, the oldest Philly on what is a veteran team up and down the batting order. Ibanez with a 2-run homer and an RBI single in game number 1 has driven in 4 runs, and he takes a strike from Carpenter.
He went through a tough stretch this year where his swing got long and he was struggling for a period of time, and he caught fire later in the season, and to beat him with fastballs has been the play for the season most of the part. But you still have to mix it up and make him aware of that inside ball.
Missing outside with the curveball, and the count 1-1. So the Phillies have the tying run in scoring position with 1 away here in the second.
Guys, you wouldn't usually steal third base with a left-handed hitter up, but Freese is so far off the bag that if Victorino goes, the hardest part for Freese is running, catching the ball, and applying the tag all in one motion.
Foul ball by Sam Orlato, the first base coach. And it's 1-2. Phillies were in first place all year and setting a franchise record with 102 victories. And if they win this game, they'll go to the National League Championship Series for the 4th consecutive season. Good stop on the pitch in the dirt by Molina.
Talk to anyone around the major leagues. One of the best in baseball. It's got to be Molina. Not only does he block the ball, but he smothers it, catches that right in his chest protector, moves forward on the baseball, and makes sure that it only goes a foot or 2 feet away from him.
3 gold gloves for Yadier Molina. Count remains 2-2 to Ibanez. Charlie Manuel, who has just led the Phillies to their 5th straight National League East title, managed the world champion in 2008, got to the series in 09 as well. Popped up. Pujols backing up, and Punto makes the catch in foul territory as Pujols and Punto were within inches of each other, and that'll be the second out here in the second inning. Tony La Russa third most winningest manager of all time. 13 division titles, 5 pennants, and 2 world championships, 1 in each league.
You know what I got from our meetings with both managers today? How ebullient and smiling and happy they were. They just loved the competition of this entire event. Couldn't wait to get to this Game 5.
And they love the setting.
Yes.
2 down to Placido Polanco. 0 for his last 7. Breaking ball misses. It's 1-0 to Polanco. Victorino with a 1-out double. Cardinals are leading 1-0. Phillies batting in the second of the deciding Game 5. 1-1.
Well, for Chris Carpenter, again, if you have never watched him pitch too often, he is a fierce competitor with stuff that obviously is an ace, and he has pitches that cut like this, a hard slider. It's rare you throw a hard slider, big curveball, and have those variances without them two becoming one. A lot of pitchers, those two pitches might be a slurve.
Polanco with a ground ball to Furcal, and that'll do it. A 1-out double by Victorino, and he is stranded at second. We go to the third here at Citizens Bank Park. The Cardinals lead the Phils 1-0. Now it's time for our Goodyear Superior Performer. And an anniversary tomorrow. 55 years ago tomorrow, Don Larson pitched the perfect game against the Dodgers in the '56 World Series.
Whew, I can't even imagine that.
Roy Halladay on that list. 21 consecutive outs as Furcal leading off in the third, swinging at the first pitch and grounding out to Utley, 1 away to Skip Schumacher.
When you see Doc Halladay pitch, this is the best visual I can give you. When we watch these mechanics, right about here, he's got a tray like a waiter, holding it up right here, a perfect position to deliver the baseball, and he repeats his mechanics so good that that's why he's one of the best. I mean, it's unbelievable. He puts the ball where he wants to, but imagine a waiter holding a tray. That's how he gets the baseball to the position.
1-0 to Schumacher, who knocked in the Cardinals' run with a double into the right field corner in the first inning. And the count 1-1 to Skip Schumacher. Halladay and Carpenter both listed at 6'6", 230 pounds, both picked by the Toronto Blue Jays in the first round. Carpenter in '92 and Halladay in '95. So many similarities. And the two are close. They go fishing after the season.
Only difference between the win total for both, some injuries to Chris Carpenter during his career.
Halladay is ahead of Schumacher, 1-2. Opposite field drive to left field. Ibanez coming over and makes the catch. Took off at the crack of the bat did Raul Ibanez, and at 39 can still make the play in left field. There are 2 down for the Cardinals in the third.
Well, Schumacher trying to go coast to coast. This ball's supposed to be in, ends up away, slices it towards left field, but Ibanez had him played perfectly towards the line, and with a good run, makes a fine catch.
And here's Albert Pujols, who reached on a fielder's choice and advanced the second a wild pitch in the first inning. 1-0 to Pujols.
You talk about these guys' friendship, former teammates. They both come in with the unwritten rule, know that they're allowed 2 mistakes, 2 runs, because they respect each other that much that you feel like, okay, 2 runs is not going to beat me, and I've got those 2. Right now it's 1 for Halladay, 0 for Carpenter.
John, we ought to have a separate scoreboard for the mistakes.
That's right.
To decide this game. There's a call strike. And 1-2 as Halladay gets ahead of Pujols as well. Foul ball. That was the 50th pitch thrown by Roy Halladay. foul ball. Jose Akendo, the Cardinals' third base coach.
Albert Pujols is so hard to pitch to because he stays on so many pitches. Sometimes slower than slow will actually give you an advantage against him like that.
Strikes out. Second strikeout of the game for Halladay, who retires the side in order. 8 in a row set down by Halladay. Cardinals lead 1-0. And we have a defensive replacement for the Cardinals here in the third inning. John Jay has gone in to play center field. Skip Schumacher has left the game. In game number 4, he had a problem with a hamstring on a swing. Not sure whether that's the problem, but Schumacher is out of the game. This after driving in the Cardinal run with a double.
What a shame. He had a couple of real solid at-bats against Halladay.
And the Phillies batting in the third inning. The number 8 hitter, Carlos Ruiz, followed by Roy Halladay, then the top of the order against Chris Carpenter. And the first pitch is a strike. Breaking ball hit into the air to right center field. And Lance Berkman makes the catch. Ruiz now 1 for 15 in the series. 1 away. And so Roy Halladay is coming up to face his friend, Chris Carpenter.
I tell you, Doc's worked at it a little bit. Got a little more respectable at the plate coming over from the American League. These Phillies take pride in everything that they do, especially getting bunts down. But they're starting to look, they can swing the bat a little bit.
Well, you look at all the National League teams that are in the playoffs. Their pitchers are athletes. They can get the job done. They can drive in runs. They can field their position.
2 strikes to Halladay, who had an infield hit in the first game of the series. He was 1 for 4.
How friendly can you be if you throw him an 0-1 hook? That's
yeah,
not
he
very
broke
nice.
the rule. He broke the Cardinal rule. And he'll have to pay for that when he goes back to.
You mentioned the 6'6", 230.
And Halladay strikes out. 2 gone here in the third inning. Second strikeout of the game for Chris Carpenter. Again, looking at these 2 tall pitchers, both drafted by Toronto, and they got to know each other in the minor leagues and really talk baseball and what they wanted to do as pitchers back then.
I know they're plying their trades with a different team now. Very rare do you have 2 pitchers drafted by one organization that have that many accolades.
Here is Jimmy Rollins, who fly to center field his first time up. Rollins, with 9 hits, is the batting leader for the Phillies in this series. Been on base 10 times. Chop, fair ball. Pujols flips to Carpenter, and a 1-2-3 inning. We have completed 3 in the deciding game of this division series. The Cardinals won, the Phillies nothing.
Well, Jimmy Rollins is smiling now, but he wasn't smiling a few seconds ago when he fouled the ball down the first base line. Jimmy sees it as foul. Now, the call is, of course, Chad Fairchild, the first base umpire. Once it passes the bag, he has the call. Before the bag, home plate umpire Cederstrom has the call. But I'm with Jimmy. I thought that ball, as it came off the bat, I thought it was foul, and he is feeling incredulous.
Of course, the umpires don't have the benefit of slow motion and seeing it several times. Lance Berkman lines it foul for strike 1 starting the 4th inning. Berkman reached on a catcher's interference in the first inning. Cardinals held to 1 run after they had 2 runners on, and there's a drive hit to center field. Victorino, plenty of room. Berkman is retired for the first out in the 4th, and Matt Halladay will come up.
Each pitcher talked about getting into the flow of the game. They're there. It's part of the big moment, anticipation, get out. You want to establish yourself. Halladay gave up the 1 run, harmless. He knows that if he keeps it right there, his team's going to score a run. And it's now up to the hitters to take advantage of whatever little room or mistake the pitchers make, because it's going to be tight from here on in.
First pitch to Halladay, ball 1. Fouled out to Polanco, who made the catch near the stands his first time up. Halladay working quickly, takes something off that pitch, and the count 1-1 to the Cardinal left fielder.
Nobody gets to the inside of their leg better than he does. When he finishes, he doesn't spin off to the first base side. He's got such a balanced position. Watch when this leg lands and he really makes that pitch, and he stands in a position where he can field his position as well.
Yeah, and John, you mentioned it's kind of a stiff front leg for Halladay. He doesn't land on a collapsed leg, and kind of just gravity takes him over that front leg.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's fouled off. John, does that style remind you of any other pitcher you've seen?
You know, it's interesting because when everyone knows about that article, what happened to him when he was struggling and he went back and redefined his position. We look at here. I mean, these two guys are similar. He ducks a little bit. It's a little bit of a Jack Morris, but not quite the way they land.
Halladay fouls this off his leg. Boy, Matt Halladay has had a rough year fighting injuries, and the latest, of course, has been the tendon in his right hand. That's not the only problem he's had, as he fouls this off the foot.
I think he got this off the shin. Let's take another look. Yeah, right off the inside knee and shin. That is so painful. I saw the Cardinals trainer thinking of coming out. If you're not going to come out now, it's the postseason. You got to come out every time.
And what does the veteran pitcher do in this situation right here?
Right back in there, John.
Go right back in there.
Let's hear it. The 1-2 pitch. Chases an outside pitch, strike 3. And that's the 3rd strikeout for Roy Halladay. 2 out in the 4th. Molina coming up.
Well, he did just the opposite, and I'm sure if you're Matt, you're thinking, oh, he's going to come back in here last minute.
It didn't really matter. He didn't want any part of that at-bat after that foul pitch. Good cutter. That ball just keeps scraping away from the hitter.
1-0 to Molina. .32 pitches in the first inning. And a ground ball hit up the middle and a base hit for Yadier Molina. 2-out single is the 3rd hit of the game against Roy Halladay, who gave up a triple and a double to start the game. Double by Schumacher, who knocked in the only run, and Schumacher had to leave the game because of an injury, and John Jay replaced him in center field. So here's David Freese with 1 on and 2 out. He chases. 0-1.
That's just knowing your scouting report. Anybody who would chase a first pitch, obviously looking like for a heater, would swing at a curveball out of the zone. That's knowing the type of hitter you've got and taking advantage of it.
Strike 2 to David Freese, who has struck out 8 times already in this series.
Freese might not get another fastball for a strike this entire game.
There goes Molina, and the pitch taken for a ball, and Molina is into second base, and the count 1-2 to Freese.
Boy, instinctually, Molina just so sharp out there. Takes the extra base because they did not hold him on, and puts himself in a place to score a second run.
Just getting a piece of it is Freese. Cardinals scored their run in the first inning, and Schumacher was at second. And then a play made at third where Schumacher tried to go to third base on a ground ball, and Utley threw him out at third. Cardinals left 2 on base in that inning. And Freese strikes out for the 2nd time in the game. And 4 strikeouts for Halladay. The Cardinals get a hit, but in the middle of the 4th inning, it's 1-0. Celebrate America's game with Chevrolet. Upload a picture of your youth player, and you can win tickets to the 2011 postseason among hundreds of other MLB prizes. Be a part of the Chevy Centennial Celebration and enter for a chance to win at ChevyBaseball.com. We've had nothing but a sea of red throughout this series. The red of the Phillies, and of course the same story in St. Louis, and both fans of both cities waving their rally towels as Chase Utley starts it off in the 4th inning, taking ball 1.
You mentioned, Ron, early about Chase Utley and hitting. When you don't have your lower half completely under you, you are a different hitter. And this guy was as scary and put up numbers kind of like Cano. And he's been battling through it. He's a tough player. He just doesn't have the rotation on his lower half to deliver that kind of power that we're used to seeing.
You know what's interesting, when you watch Chase Utley play over the course of his career, I don't think anyone in the game plays any harder than he does. And I think the way he plays has caused some of these injuries to mount over the course of his career.
He had 5 20 home run seasons before injuries started to get to him last year. Here's the 1-1 curveball. Strike 2 to Utley. Be followed by Hunter Pence and Ryan Howard here in the 4th inning. Phillies trying to get some production from the middle of the order, not to mention the back of the order, which hasn't done much. Ball 4, and Utley, hit by the pitch, is on. Moments ago, we spoke with Cardinals manager Tony La Russa. And Tony, so far the game is advertised?
Well, I think so, Dick. First of all, our guy is sharp, but there aren't many pitches around in that first inning. Give a triple and a double with the middle of our lineup, and we don't get another one. So they're both very good.
Well, you got your guy on 4 days rest, and he looks awfully sharp, commanding his fastball.
Yeah, and he's got that curveball going early just to give him something else. But you know, he's got his movement, and he can be tough to score on too. But we need to add something just to give him a chance to make a mistake and not get penalized.
What about Schumacher? What was the problem there?
Pulled an oblique, which is you know, he's probably had the best 2 at-bats on our ball club against him, but thought an oblique. I think it was his left side, so we had to remove him.
All right, Tony, thank you.
Okay.
Here's 1 out, and Hunter Pence with a grounder to the right side, and Utley is forced at second. With Ryan Howard coming up, he grounded to Punto at second, his first time up.
Well, here's another case right here, Ron. Again, if you're a pitcher on the mound, you can try to see how aggressive he's going to be. Pitch a couple balls out of the zone. Hope that he swings, and just have that feel that you don't have. If you don't have to throw a guy a lot of strikes, don't do it.
Howard 0 for his last 12. And there's a drive caught by Punto, the throw to first. Not in time for the double play. So Nick Punto making a fine play, timing that jump perfectly.
Well, it's one of the reasons Nick Punto's in the lineup. He made a nice play in that ground ball, and this a jam shot from Howard. The tough part about this for a second baseman is the timing of the leap. You see that done early, too early sometimes. But Punto with a nice play makes it look easy, and the underhand toss trying to complete the double play.
Pence gets back, and there is Punto starting his first game of the series. He's played his career with the Minnesota Twins before coming over to the Cardinals. So Howard is retired for the second time. And here is Shane Victorino, who has the only Phillies hit, a double into the right field corner. 1-0. Cardinals lead in the 5th and deciding game of this division series. Freese playing a few steps in at third, and the first pitch down low to Victorino, ball 1.
tell you, what makes the playoffs, not only elimination games, so incredible is the fact that in a regular season game, man on first, 2 outs, no big deal. It's a rally. Everything's a rally when you get into the playoffs. Guy on first, oh my gosh. And I think that's the one thing, the less you can have those stress pitches and runners on second and third, and all you're facing is 2-out issues, you're going to be okay.
Two balls and no strikes to Victorino. Ground ball, base hit to right field by Victorino. Hunter Pence will go to third, and the Phillies have runners at first and third and 2 away. Victorino 2 for 2 in the game. And Ibanez coming up.
Well, this situation right here, he did what he had to do. Pujols was holding on, but he found the hole. And again, 2 outs. First and third, better than first and third, nobody out, or 1 out.
You know what was interesting about that is Pujols held his ground. He didn't get off the bag 5 or 6 feet. He wanted to make sure that he would not allow a double down the line. Double down the line would score Pence. He's given his pitcher Carpenter with 2 outs another shot to get out of the inning.
And Raul Ibanez, who has 4 runs batted in this series. Victorino had 3 hits in game 1 of the series, knocking in 2 runs, was 1 for 12 since, and has come back and has been a force here for the Phillies. Tying run is at third. Go ahead run at first. Down low for ball 1.
The luxury of having Molina catching you here with a guy who throws a lot of curveballs and lives in the dirt. You have no fear that he's not going to block it. It's a luxury for a pitcher. There you don't have to hang on and aim that pitch. You can just throw it knowing that your guy is as good as it gets back there.
Molina this year become more of an offensive force, led his team in hitting, become really more of a complete catcher. 1-1 as Ibanez fouls it back.
You don't want to throw too many fastballs to Ibanez, but if you're going to, you have to tie him up inside. Perfectly placed pitch there by Carpenter.
Hunter Pence is third, and Victorino on at first. 2 away here in the 4th inning. Fouled back, and the count is 1-2. Ibanez 2 for 14 against Chris Carpenter. Runners at the corners with 2 away. Cardinals scoring their run in the 1st inning for a call with a leadoff triple. Schumacher with a run-scoring double, and he came out of the game suffering a pulled left oblique. Close. 2-2. Here's Ryan Howard trying to find the answer in this decisive game. Big run producer. Has had a long drought since that opening game. But here's Ibanez with the count 2-2. And a 3-2 count to Ibanez with runners at first and third and Placido Polanco waiting to hit.
Well, now Pujols is going to back off the bag, try to give him a little more advantage to fielding the ball. The runner's going to get a running start.
This is the first 3-ball count for Chris Carpenter. Runner over from first, and a fly ball hit to right field. Lance Berkman on the warning track, and he makes the catch to retire the side. Close for Raul Ibanez as the Phillies lead 2. We go to the 5th inning with the Cardinals still up 1-0.
The League Division Series on TBS is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by the new action-adventure film, The Three Musketeers, in theaters October 21st.
1-0 the count to Nick Punto, who aligned to Polanco his first time up. Punto, the 8th hitter in the Cardinal lineup. Pitcher Chris Carpenter up next, and the count 2 balls and no strikes to Punto, who has played in 2 postseasons with the Twins in 06 and again in 09. 2-1.
And that's why you can start him in a game like this. You know, he hasn't played all series, it's a couple of at-bats, but he can start him in game 5 because he needs the defensive help for Carpenter, but he knows he has all that experience.
Invaluable, particularly in a game like this. Ball strike, 2-2. Halladay gets even with Punto after falling behind. And a line drive to the opposite field, base hit for Nick Punto, starting off the 5th inning for the Cardinals. Moments ago, we spoke with Phillies pitching coach Rich Doobie, and so looks like Roy Halladay, after that first inning, settling down as he did in game 1.
Yeah, very similar to game 1. You know, get off to a rocky start, and then it seems like he's got to test the waters and gets a little angry, it looks like, and settled in nicely.
You know, Rich, there's a real art, though, to pitching with runners in scoring position. Halladay as good as anyone. What does he do that's better than others?
He doesn't panic. I mean, he understands about making pitches, and he's a contact guy. He pitches to contact, so there are some base hits there and guys on base, but there's never panic, and it's great determination out there from Roy.
Rich, thanks for being with us.
All right, thanks.
And a call strike to Carpenter, 0-1, and Carpenter looking to move Punto to second base for the top of the order. Rafael for call to follow.
These little things are huge, aren't they, John?
They sure are. And one thing the Cardinals do is they teach their pitchers, show bunt, bring the bat back, maybe a double threat, and then put the bat back to a bunting position. But it gives them the option to do a couple things.
That's bunted foul, 2 strikes.
Showing the bat and then bringing it back. If the infielder comes too close to you, the third baseman charges, they teach you to slug bunt it. And what that is a 3/4 swing trying to get it by the drawn in infield. I always viewed it as an easier chance to get a free hit because the position is out of place.
Polanco is moved back into the cutout part of third base and the throw over to first. And the Phillies still wary of the bunt with 2 strikes. Squaring around, and there's the bunt. Fair. And it's a double play. Carpenter didn't even bother getting out of the batter's box to run. Handled by Carlos Ruiz. And the double play, 2-6-4 right here.
The reason that this is a great play is because Ruiz, with that quickness, comes out in front of the plate, makes sure he gets that baseball before it will have a chance to bounce foul. Carpenter stays in the batter's box. That allows them to turn to easy double play. The little things can sometimes come back to haunt you.
So 2 down to Rafael for call. There you saw Roy Halladay pointing to Ruiz very alertly starting that play. So a possibility for the Cardinals to get a runner in scoring position. Instead, there are 2 down, and for call lifts it in the air to Ibanez in left field, and a quick inning for Roy Halladay. It remains 1-0 in favor of St. Louis as the Phillies back in the 5th. MasterCard invites you to eat, drink, and be generous this fall in support of cancer research. Visit standuptocancer.org/MasterCard for more details.
Well, Ruiz might be struggling offensively, but it never affects his defensive game. Little bunt in front of the plate, his quickness, and he didn't take anything for granted. Came out shooting from that spot. Good throw down to Rollins. Rollins takes his time to complete the double play. Carpenter was hoping that ball was foul and just a strikeout, not a double play.
Placido Polanco leading off in the 5th against Chris Carpenter. Cardinals leading 1-0 in the first pitch. It's a strike. So it's Polanco and Ruiz, and then Roy Halladay. Polanco and Ruiz are a combined 3 for 32 in this series.
Well, just what I thought. You can tell by watching this game, both pitchers are nervous. They don't feel good. They don't look good. Quite the opposite. I think this is exactly what we thought we'd see. Two guys in command, and certainly one run might be enough.
No walks in the game, John, and each pitcher has had only one 3-ball count thus far.
You never know what events will transpire when you're drafted by a team that will sometimes put you on the same field and the same time and the same place, and both these guys delivering so far.
1-2, slowly hit for call. Polanco's retired, 1 away, and right now let's check in with Matt Weiner in our Atlanta studio.
Hey, Dick, time for a game break presented by Bank of America. Earlier tonight here on TBS, the Milwaukee Brewers dramatically won their way to the NLCS. Nyjer Morgan with a walk-off single to bring in Carlos Gomez. 3-2 over the Diamondbacks. The Brewers back in the LCS level of the playoffs for the first time since 1982.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. 1 out. Carlos Ruiz fly to Berkman in right field his first time up. So you guys are going to be taken off maybe.
It depends on this game
Maybe.
here.
Yeah. Don't give up your room yet.
But John's got a plane. We'll take off wherever we have to go at some point.
Brian Anderson will be joining Ron Darling and John Smoltz for the National League Championship Series as Ruiz chops it for call and makes the play for out number 2. And of course, we throughout this playoff sending our best to Ernie Johnson, who has been tending to his son Michael and his illness, and all of us wish Ernie Johnson the best.
Absolutely.
2 down, and Roy Halladay coming up. Struck out his first time up. Takes down low ball 1. Leadoff hitter Jimmy Rollins would be next, and here's a chopper to third base. Freeze. Backhands it, and 3 ground balls, 3 outs as Carpenter retires the side in order. 1-0 on that first inning run for the Cardinals going to the 6th. Well, don't miss a moment of Conan. All new weeknights on TBS. The Conan Blimp and aerial coverage are brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Well, the Cardinals so far taking the 1-0 lead, and it's held up as John Jay will come to the plate for the first time. He went into the game as a defensive replacement for Skip Schumacher, who pulled an oblique. Went into the 3rd inning. So here is Jay, who is 2 for 11 in the series. But both of his hits came in game 2, and they both knocked in runs. As the Cardinals won here last week. First pitch, a strike to Jay.
Well, this is a big part of the game, not just because it's the 6th inning, but Doc Halladay made the last out, which means when he goes to the dugout, the top of the order, his lineup gives them the best chance to score a run. And of course, you got the meat of the lineup here for St. Louis. So a big inning. He also knows, as a National League, you're going to get pinch hit for late in the game, unless the game's tied or you're winning. Big couple innings for Doc.
John, 1-2 now to Jay.
John, that epic battle you had with Jack Morris, is there a point where you know you can't give up any more runs or give up a run?
Well, absolutely. I mean, certainly you're going against the guy who's hot in your offense.
Utley takes the flip.
And so all you're trying to do is put your team in a chance for that 1-2 out hit or that 2-run homer, and the game's over. I mean, Doc right now feels like he knows he's not giving up any more runs. The team senses it. The pressure and tension builds here at home, especially with the fans, because they know, come on, guys, we just need 2.
I remember a long time ago, the great Jim Cott, the great left-hander, was pitching against Sandy Koufax in the World Series. Game 7, Minnesota was 1-0, runner at second. Manager Sam Ely came out and said, I'm taking you out. He says, it's only 1-0. He says, Koufax already has enough. Here is Albert Pujols, and he takes ball 1. Pujols is 0 for 2, struck out his last time. So a lot depends on who the opposite pitcher is, what he needs. Chases that one.
The thing about pitching in close games, when you're on the side of a 1-run lead, you want it to be close. If in a perfect world late they could add a run or 2, man, that is like a huge adrenaline lift.
Fair ball, third. Backing up is Polanco. Outstanding third baseman. Polanco has been brilliant in this series, handling some tough chances, and there are 2 gone in here in the 6th.
Well, he's got a couple of gold gloves. When you watch him, he's playing almost no doubles down the line, and this ball gets an in-between hop, but he has the wherewithal and the patience to wait for it and just make that nice long toss over to first base.
2 down to Lance Berkman, who reached on catcher's interference, and that was charged an error to Carlos Ruiz. Fly to center his last time up. Cardinals have out-hit the Phillies 4-2, and that run in the first inning. Standing up here is the Cardinals batting in the 6th. The winner of this game will take on the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series, and for the loser, the season will be over. 0-2.
One thing you never want to see Mr. Berkman do is set his bat down after he hits it. One of the best home run. You know, you can't get mad at the guy when he hits a home run and sets it down nicely for you.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and again Berkman, who hit the 3-run homer in the first inning of game number 1, and also hit a home run against Halladay on September 19th, a solo drive. So he has been able to go deep against this great righty. 2 down, the 1-2 pitch. Checks the swing. They did not go around. Side, and Utley on the outfield grass, playing it perfectly, makes the play. 3 ground balls, 3 outs for Halladay in the middle of the 6th. Cardinals 1, the Phillies nothing.
The League Division Series on TBS is brought to you by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country, and by Transamerica. Together, we can transform tomorrow.
Phillies coming up in the 6th, and as John Smoltz telegraphed, this is a big inning for the Phillies.
Yeah, it really is. The crowd senses it, and sir, it all starts with Jimmy Rollins, and anyway, anyhow, he can get on. Sometimes Jimmy will sneak attack you on the first pitch.
Gets the curve over for a strike. Rollins is 0 for 2. But has 9 hits and has been on base 10 times in this series.
As a pitcher, you know what parts of the game are real important when the lineup comes up, and you're just trying to get that first guy out so it doesn't get hectic in here, and you think too much about the noise and what's, you know, I call it the what-if scenario. Never think of what if happens when you're pitching. 1 batter at a time, 1 pitch at a time.
Two-run pitch, ground ball left side for Call. And Rollins is retired. He's 0 for 3, but Craig Sager to Jimmy Rollins, the glass is always half full.
Well, you know, this is the 5th straight year the Phillies have won the division title, but he told me before the series a totally different atmosphere in the clubhouse. He said, this team just has it. I go, what's it? He says, experience, talent, confidence. We will not lose. I talked to him before the game tonight. I said, you feel that still that same way even though it's tied? He said, absolutely, we are not going to lose. We'll see if it happens.
Well, he's delivered thus far in the series, although he has been stymied 0 for 3 thus far. Here's Chase Utley, who struck out and then was hit by a pitch. One and 0. Art Hunter Pence on deck. As Chris Carpenter, with that 1-0 lead, has retired the side in order in 3 of the first 5 innings. One and one.
We talked about it in the beginning. His curveball has been fantastic. He's thrown it for strikes. He's thrown it down at their feet. He's really kept the hitters off balance, and really a lot of balls up the middle to shortstop, second base. That's what you want when you're throwing.
And a call strike, and it's 1 and 2.
Well, when you watch Ryan Howard on the bench, you've got a couple of shots at him. You don't need to know the stats on what he's hitting this series.
Grounded, and Pujols deflects it, and it gets by Punto into right field. So Chase Utley with a 1-out single, and the tying run is at first with Hunter Pence coming to the plate. Hit number 3 for Philadelphia.
Well, Albert covers so much room at first base. He's on the line, but once he dives for it, deflects off his glove and goes past Punto. And if you watch out, he's always hustling. Watch him and Carpenter trying to beat each other to the bag and kind of making the turn Carpenter does with him. Almost looks like he wanted to tackle him.
I guarantee you he did.
So here's Hunter Pence. Grounded to short and reached on a fielder's choice. And stranded at third in the 4th inning. Phillies at first and third did not score. And he looks Utley back to the bag.
What did we say earlier in the broadcast? Pence was supposed to be the piece they were missing. Carpenter's going to do a nice job of holding Utley close. Utley can steal a base. The big equalizer in this, though, Molina and his golden right arm. Throws as well as any catcher in the National League.
The strikeout throwout double play in the first inning ended the Phillies with only 2 runs. There goes the runner, Utley going. There's the throw to second. They get him. Chris Guccione, the second base umpire, and you just said it, Ron Darling. Yadier Molina, and after a good jump by Utley.
I want you to watch how he sets up. He looks at the runner and he knows he's going. He comes out and fires a strike to second. I didn't think there was any chance with this jump on a curveball that he had him, but unreal throw.
Nah, Yadier Molina, very big play. And the count 0-1 to Pence. And that knocks the wind out of the sails of this crowd at this point.
Let's not underestimate the tag by Punto. I mean, as quick a hands as you're going to see to get that ball down on Utley's foot.
In there, and it's 1-2 to Hunter Pence. Saying in the first inning of the last game in St. Louis, Phillies were primed for the big inning, but a strikeout and a gun down to second by Molina ended that inning. Now the count 2-2 with nobody on base and 2 away.
These fans, I can't tell you how much they expect this team to go to the World Series. They're feeling the pressure of the drought of runs. They've seen it at times, but they're just looking for something big, a double, an extra base hit, obviously a home run.
And that'll go to Punto, and that'll do it. So a 1-out single, and then thrown out stealing was Chase Utley. And after 6 innings, the Cardinals leading the Phillies 1-0 in the deciding game.
Here's the reason it's still 1-0 St. Louis. I want you to look at his head. He's looking over at the runner as he sees him go. Now he knows he's going, so he can pounce and go. A release that's so quick. And the thing about when you watch Molina there
is that he didn't take away the strike. He
Right.
caught it for a strike first and then made the throw.
Matt Holliday swings and misses on the first pitch. This was the tag.
Well, the great thing about Punto, he's put in for defensive purposes, slaps that tag right on the calf of Utley before his foot touches. That was outstanding.
1-1 to Holliday, who fouled out to Polanco and struck out. On the inside corner, 1-2. So as was the case in the first game of the series, Halliday taking a while to get in the groove. 6 of the 8 base runners win the first 2 innings. There's a drive hit deep to center field. Victorino back and makes the catch on the warning track right in front of the 409-foot sign. Matt Holliday hit it to the deepest part of this ballpark, and he's retired for out number 1. And here's Molina, who has a single and a stolen base in 2 trips. Strike 1 to Yadier Molina. 4 hits for the Cardinals, 2 coming in the first inning when Furcal led off with a triple to right center field, and Skip Schumacher doubled into the right field corner. That's been the only run of the game, and the count 2 strikes now to Molina.
It's not this easy. If you think pitching in a 1-0 game, these guys are making it look real easy, and it's tough for the hitters, obviously, to square anything up because nothing is around the plate.
It's only the 3rd time that former Cy Young Award winners have opposed each other in an elimination game. Halliday has won 2 Cy Young Awards, and Carpenter has won 1. Chris Carpenter has the one thing that Halliday wants, and that is a World Series ring. That's why he's with the Phillies.
Well, Halliday said when he came over, the reason he wanted to come to the Phillies, he wanted an opportunity to pitch for a championship and to pitch in the postseason. His first start, not too bad, no hitter, but these are the starts right here that are the most difficult.
And Molina out on strikes.
This is a front door cutter that is so difficult for a hitter. Looks like it's a fastball in, and it cuts back over the inside part of the plate. A pitch that Halliday has just perfected. Again, it looks like he's going to throw a fastball, but that spin and that cut brings it back over the plate.
5th strikeout for Halliday, and David Freese has been a strikeout victim in each of his first 2 trips to the plate. Takes ball 1.
Why I think this is the most pressure on any team in the playoffs, because they have the deepest pitching staff. A best-of-5 series, anything really can happen. If you're going to beat the Phillies, most people think the best chance is a best-of-5. If they were to move forward, they're so far better than the rest because they've got 4 quality, great starters.
Pitch is inside. The count is 2-0, and that's why Game 2 victory by the Cardinals against Cliff Lee was significant.
They're built for 162. They're built for a 7-game series. A little vulnerable in the 5-game series.
Fouled at the plate.
And the reason that is, somebody might say, well, wait a minute, they got 4 great starters, but you can get by with 2 if you're facing them. 2 great starters in a best-of-5, other teams can throw at there. But in a 7 series, you got to stretch those guys out. You need that 4th guy.
And a base hit to left field for David Freese. Ibanez coming over, the big turn at first. A 2-out single by Freese, and that's the 5th hit of the game against Halliday.
Well, really, Freese has faced a steady diet of breaking balls. Finally, one a little up in the strike zone. Not an awful breaking pitch, but good swing by Freese. Gets that ball to down the line. He had an idea of going for 2, but nice hustle by Ibanez.
I think what to talk about right here is obviously the pitchers on deck. You have an opportunity in the National League to still not have to face this guy in the 8th hole if you think he can hit a double down the line. But the perfect world is you want the pitcher leading off next inning.
And we have a pinch runner, Daniel Descalso, who is the glove man at third base for Tony La Russa, has gone in a run for Freese with 2 out. And Nick Punto, who singled his last time up, 1 for 2, going the opposite field.
So in this situation, you let the count dictate how you're going to pitch to the 8th hitter.
And the first pitch is a strike. Cardinals really went into some meetings to decide whether Descalso would replace Freese in the last game. They decided to go with Freese, and he delivered with a 2-run homer along with a 2-run double. Oh, 2 now to Punto. Do it in the 7th inning as Punto strikes out. 2 this inning, 6 in the game. Cardinals lead the Phillies 1-0 as we go to the 7th inning. Cardinals coming up, or the Phillies coming up in the 7th inning against Chris Carpenter. Want to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And now it's time for the State of the Game, brought to you by State Farm. And the Milwaukee Brewers advancing to the NLCS and will play the winner of this game. And it will be Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Right here on TBS. Right now the Cardinals lead 1-0. It has been 30 years since the Phillies faced a do-or-die situation game. That was back in 1981. And this crowd has been positive right now. It's a 1-0 game, and they're just waiting for the Phillies to kind of get the edge there as Cliff Lee begins to throw in the bullpen for the Phillies. Ryan Howard will lead it off here in the 7th.
That was a pretty good matchup in 1981. Also, Steve Rogers for the Montreal Expos and Steve Carlton for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, in this situation right here, a walk's not a bad thing for Howard. I know he's trying to make things happen via the bat. He's been aggressive, and he's fed right into what Carpenter's doing, jamming him, broke his bat his last time. We'll see if he has any patience leading off this inning to get a pitch he wants.
Maybe take a pitch, watch it all the way in.
He is 0 for his last 13. Down low, ball 1.
Charlie Manuel has talked to Ryan Howard about this winter, thinking about moving closer to the plate. Right now, his bat is decelerating as it goes through the strike zone.
Carpenter falls behind, 2 balls and no strikes. And Howard, despite his hitting woes since the first game, still has 6 RBIs to lead the Phils.
Well, this is a good sign right here. I mean, he's been aggressive. Now he's taking some pitches. Now he has the luxury, you know, if he wants to take another pitch to see what Carp's going to do or swing 3-0. More than likely, a fastball right here.
And gets the green light and a line drive to Berkman in right field. And out number 1. And Carpenter gets Ryan Howard after falling behind 3-0.
That's the first smile we've seen from Carpenter so far. Look at how judicious he's been with his pitches so far. 79 Halladay, 105 after 7 innings. I would not let Howard swing the bat there 3-0. He's not swinging well enough for me to give him that opportunity.
They need a base runner, especially with Shane Victorino, who has 2 of the 3 Phillies hits coming up. Doubled in the second, singled in the fourth, and on the first pitch fastball fouls it back.
I don't know what's nicer, a double play or a 3-0 out.
I think it's the 3-0 out right now. And the only reason I say that, Howard has been struggling, even though he has 6 RBI. Who's taking the best at bats tonight? Victorino, who's up now.
Two balls and 1 strike. And keep in mind that if Carpenter gets the Phillies in order, may not have to face the heart of the order in the 9th inning.
Exactly right. And every pitcher knows they play the adding game, and he's certainly at a pitch count where he could finish it if he keeps going at this rate.
Count is 2-2 to Victorino. 3 hits for the Phillies. Victorino with the double and the single, and Chase Utley with a 1-out single in the 6th. And he was thrown out attempting to steal by Yadier Molina. Check to swing as they check with Jerry Meals, the third base umpire. Count 3-2.
Again, when you're throwing pitches in, this curveball in is one of those things that left-handers like to go after, especially in the dirt. He obviously did not attempt to swing it.
Chopped to Pujols, who steps on the bag. Good pitch by Carpenter in on the fist as he gets Victorino for the first time tonight, and there are 2 gone in the 7th. We have not been disappointed by the pitcher's duel set up tonight with Carpenter and Halladay.
Now, the only difference was about 30-some pitches in the first inning, and Doc has been just equally to the task, as is Carpenter. And I tell you what, you just, in a game like this, you keep grinding away, getting outs and outs and outs. Any run from this point on seems like we talked about. If you get a 2-run lead when you're pitching 1-0 all your game, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a big lead.
Here's Ibanez with 2 away. Fouled out to Punto and flying out to right, and takes ball 1 outside.
Phillies are 1 swing away from making that all disappear and equaling it back up.
That's what Ryan Howard had in mind when he swung on a 3-0 pitch.
But that's sometimes the problem, isn't it? It's that you have a lineup all trying to be the hero. 1 swing of the bat to get him back in the game. Yes, can they do that? Absolutely. But you also want to try to work a rally.
1-1 pitch, and John, you were saying that the one thing you want is a base runner, and to get the leadoff man on, even if it is Ryan Howard, who's your slugger, in a game like this with Victorino coming out, to just change to what the pattern has been for this offense.
Yeah, some of the biggest plays in the biggest games are not necessarily a hit. It could be a walk. And that walk can lead to so many different things.
Well, Carpenter has gone to the 3-ball count on 2 hitters here in the 7th inning after going to 3 balls only once previously. Now we're 3-2.
It's been amazing. Both series, the Yankees lose a 1-run game. The Diamondbacks lose a 1-run game. We're in this game 5, a 1-run game. All the little things that you work so hard for spring training, the fundamentals, the execution, so important here in the last couple of innings.
1 hopper to Nick Punto, and a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Carpenter. Phillies retired in the 7th. Cardinals batting in the 8th. That 1-run lead in the first inning holding up. 1-0 in favor of the Cardinals. And the St. Louis Cardinals, who really in the last 3 or 4 weeks, every game has been practically an elimination game for them. And this is that kind of a game for them and the Phillies, as Chris Carpenter takes ball 1. Carpenter has grounded out and attempting a sacrifice, bunted into a double play. Reaches out and fouls it away.
You know, Tony La Russa said that a half-dozen times in September they had a game that if they didn't win it, they were done for the rest of the year. And every time they came up with a win, and especially on the road, and it might sound trite and sophomoric, but all the players said, guys, let's win today. Let's make it a happy flight. And that's what they've really hung their hat on this season, really since September.
And ball strike to Carpenter. In fact, there was a loss to the Mets that you thought was going to do it for the Cardinals, and then they lose the first game of the series against the Astros in extra innings. And you said that was going to ruin their chances. And there is Carpenter getting a base hit through the middle and past his buddy Roy Halladay. We've been talking about Halladay and Carpenter, who were with the Toronto Blue Jays. Craig Sager has more.
Well, we've been talking about the tell of the tape, the fact that they are best friends. They are former teammates with the Toronto Blue Jays, but there's also more to this story. They both had their problems. Carpenter had injuries when he was there. Halladay had lack of confidence, got sent to the minors. He said David Wells, his former teammate and our studio analyst, changed his career. I said, how? He said Wells told him with a backhanded compliment, if I had your arm, I'd win 25 games every year.
There's for a call with the bunt. Ruiz going to second, and it's safe at second base as Jimmy Rollins sees the ball roll away, and I'm not sure that Carpenter would have been safe anyway, even if he had held on to it.
Well, it's a bad choice by Ruiz, who doesn't make a lot of bad choices. He knows this run is so important, so he was going to be real aggressive and trying to get Carpenter, the pitcher, at second base. But watch how far this bunt rolls. It's almost halfway out to the mound and throwing on the run with all those catcher's equipment. 1, 2, 3 strikes. He didn't make the play.
And Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, going to the mound. They rule it a fielder's choice and an error charged to Carlos Ruiz. That's his second error of the game. Ryan Madson, the Phillies closer, is now warming up in their bullpen.
That's got to be a sacrifice and an E on the catcher.
Well, TBS, October 18th, prepare for nerd domination. Don't miss the Big Bang Theory, all new to TBS Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights, starting October 18th.
I didn't know you knew that much about that.
Well, someone to say it takes one to know one. I don't want to go that far. And here's John Jay looking to bunt. It did not offer at it, so it's ball 1 to Jay.
Interesting strategy here. If he gets the bunt down and moves the runners over, more than likely you're going to walk Pujols, your best hitter. You've got Carpenter at second. Not the easiest of task to get to third, and bunting a pitcher over to third.
If I were the Phillies, I'd make sure I watch John Jay, who steps almost on the plate when he tries to bunt.
And he takes ball 2. John Jay, who came in for the injured Skip Schumacher in the third inning defensively, 0 for 1 since he's come in the game at the plate.
This would be a good count to take the bunt off. 2-0. Get aggressive. Try and steal a couple more runs here with
2-0 bunt. Perfect down the third base line, and Polanco getting it over to Utley for the force, and the sacrifice for the out, and the sacrifice sends runners to second and third. And you know, the way Carpenter was running to second on that first play, you knew that he could motor over to third. So good sacrifice by Jay. Gets congratulations to the dugout. 1 out and runners at second and third. And they go to Pujols as advertised, and pitch to Lance Berkman with the bases loaded.
Well, there's only about a handful of pitchers in baseball that would walk the bases loaded a left-hander, a switch hitter like Berkman, who really does not hit great from the right side, and you wouldn't change him to that right side with a left-handed reliever because you have one of the best pitchers in baseball.
And Berkman, who hit a home run against him in the first game of the series and won in September. And this is a critical moment in this game with the Cardinals. And you just mentioned what it's like for a pitcher to see the lead greater than 1-0.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I know he's standing on third base, but it's a 1-0 game. You've been grinding. The Cardinals squeeze out a run here. If two, it just sucks the air out of this stadium and certainly puts St. Louis in the enviable position of finishing this thing off.
And conversely, if you can somehow get out of this without giving up a run, it can propel your offense.
Berkman 0 for 3, reached on an error, and offers at the first pitch. 0-1 to Lance Berkman.
So difficult to square up Halladay, thinking you're going to get maybe a pitch on the inner half, and it drops out of the zone. And a guy who's very disciplined just swung at the first pitch in the dirt.
Takes it outside, 1-1. Carpenter, the runner at third. Furcal is at second. And Pujols at first. With one away here in the 8th inning. 1-0, the Cardinals lead. Trying to win this game 5. And Berkman swings and misses 1 and 2. This is the greatness of Halladay if he can take care of Lance Berkman. And Berkman goes down. Big out number 2 for Roy Halladay.
I don't think you can get a tougher batter that you have to face. A great contact hitter, and just did not miss with any of his pitches. Just precise, perfect, did not allow him to extend those arms. Berkman down.
And Matt Halladay with the bases loaded, but now with 2 away. Cardinals had an opportunity with a well-placed grounder or fly ball to get that second run in. But now they're 2 down. Halladay 0 for 3.
That's a big no call there from home plate umpire. Real tough pitch, close pitch. What do you think, John?
Inside cutter right there. If anything, maybe just a tad low, but you know Doc wanted it.
Now behind 2-0. The only walk in this game by these 2 premier pitchers was the intentional pass to Pujols here in the inning to load the bases. Ball strike 2 and 1.
You're not going to get a chance to look at 2 in a row right there. But that was not the pitch Matt Halladay wanted either. Looking for one more up in the zone that he can drive in the gap.
Took something off that one. And now it's 2 and 2 to Matt Halladay. And a drive hit to left field. Ibanez coming on over and makes the catch to retire the side. And Ron Darling, your observation right on the money. This crowd pumped up as Halladay retires the Cardinals with the bases loaded. Catch all the action of the 2011 Major League Baseball League Championship Series on TBS and Fox. Join the postseason debate at MLBFancave.com and follow the action on Twitter with the hashtag postseason. Legends are born in October. Moments ago, the scene in the Phillies dugout.
Well, he knows, and it's just a heroic effort. Guy's an unbelievable pitcher and just really did everything he can. I said earlier, each pitcher's allowed 2 mistakes. You hate to have one mistake and 1 run beat you in this game.
Well, it'll be the bottom third of the order, and let's see whether Chris Carpenter is affected by being on the bases as much as he was in the top of the 8th inning. Placido Polanco twice is grounded to short and is way ahead of that pitch, strike 1.
Polanco has struggled. You see the pitch count now still incredibly low. But Carpenter, he struggled offensively in this series. He has a sports hernia that he's been nursing all season long, surgery after the playoffs.
1 ball and 1 strike. So here you'll have Carpenter, who would love to get out of this inning in order and avoid perhaps facing Howard and Victorino in the 9th inning if he can dispose of these Phillies hitters. And the Phillies trying to capitalize on getting out of the last inning. But here's for Call, and he throws out Polanco for the 3rd time, and there's 1 away here in the 8th. Carlos Ruiz coming up.
You're throwing that cutter and that power sinker that Carpenter has. You're going to keep your infielders busy. For Call has been steady. He's made all the plays. Certainly the leadoff hitter just doesn't get on that often when you're on top of your game like Carpenter is.
And Ross Glode is out in the on-deck circle as a pinch hitter for Halladay. Here is Ruiz, and he takes strike 1. Ruiz is fly to right and grounded to for Call. Ground ball and smothered by Furcal, recovers and throws him out. Rafael Furcal, acquired from the Dodgers and paying dividends at shortstop since his acquisition.
All of these special performances seem to always take a little magic with the leather, and that's the magic there by Furcal.
14 ground ball outs, none bigger than this one right here. 2 outs in the 8th. He gets up, knows the runner, and has a strong arm. Nice follow through.
So the veteran Rafael Furcal, and the first pitch to Ross Glode, the pinch hitter, is a strike. Glode is 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter earlier in the series. Batting for Roy Halladay here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 1-1.
Molina, Furcal, Cardinals leading this game in fist bumps.
Two down. Breaking ball, strike 2. And Glode, strike 3, and Molina safe at first base. Yadier Molina had trouble finding the ball, and he fired widely to Pujols off the bag, and Glode becomes a base runner.
But what happened to Molina is that he smothered this ball in the dirt, but he could not find it. Finally, he flips his mask off, rushes the play, just enough to throw that ball wide to Albert Pujols. Can't find it, shakes his mask off, Glode hustling down that first base line. And see how he kicks it into fair territory? But by the time he throws it, a little cut on that baseball and wide.
What this does is guarantees, unless there's a pickoff or thrown out, stealing Howard to get up.
Yes.
In the next inning.
And Michael Martinez has gone in to run for Glode, who is safe on the error by Molina. So the tying run with good speed is Martinez at first with 2 out, and Jimmy Rollins, who is 0 for 3 and takes ball 1. Rollins has had 2 hits in each of the first 4 games of the series, but Carpenter has set him down 3 times thus far tonight. John Mayberry.
No, you had it right. It's Michael Martinez.
Yes, it's Martinez. And there's a shot off the glove of Carpenter. From the first base, And in time, Punto and for call, both making sparkling plays here in the 8th inning in back of Chris Carpenter. And it remains 1-0 as the Cardinals come to bat in the ninth. One to nothing, the Cardinals lead the Phillies as the Cardinals come up in the 9th inning. And it seems, guys, that the drama and the situation on the field is increasing each inning as we get to the 9th inning.
There's only one place I'd rather be in a game like this, is out on the mound.
right.
In the dugout, you are dying. Your stomach's killing you.
You're a mess. You're a mess. But unbelievable game. For call with the big triple and scoring the run. The great defensive play in the 8th. And Molina gunning down Utley in the 6th.
Two of them really with for call and then Punto to get that last out. But as you mentioned, John, Ryan Howard will be coming up for the Phillies. Third in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yadier Molina, 1 for 3 with a single and a stolen base, starts against Ryan Madson, who appeared in the first 3 games of the series. Got the final 2 outs with a pair of strikeouts in game 1. And pitched a scoreless ninth with 2 strikeouts to keep the game at 5-4, eventually won by the Cardinals in the 2nd game, and had a 5-out save in game 3.
We talked to Charlie Manuel before the game about Ryan Madson, who has been shuttled back and forth from a starter to a reliever, long man, occasionally gets a shot as being a closer. He said he has established himself as a closer now. Can throw that changeup on any count.
Converted 32 of 35 save opportunities in the regular year. 2-1 pitch, and can't find him. Ryan Madson can't find it, but a great recovery by Carlos Ruiz to throw out Molina. Molina would respect that. And there's 1 gone in the Cardinal ninth.
How about the hustle by Ruiz? We saw it on the bunt play. It didn't come into play, but here off the leg of Madson, Ruiz with the hustle and finds it, fires it on the run.
And then out, 1, 2, 3.
That's how it's been for most of the hitters tonight.
Right.
1, 2, 3, go sit down.
Well, here's Daniel Descalso, who came in to run for David Freese in the 7th inning and brought in for defensive purposes. This is his first out bat of the game. One ball and 1 strike. Roy Halladay working 8 innings, giving up a run on 6 hits, striking out 7. 1 intentional pass. The Cardinals getting that 1 run in the 1st inning. 1 and 2 now to Descalso.
Well, because St. Louis has been through this the last 20 or 30 games, I'm sure their heartbeat's right where it has been all 30 games. Like, this might be their comfort zone.
Down low, and they're looking to make a happy trip, perhaps, to Milwaukee. And that's what they would do, and they would leave tonight if they can hold their lead against the Phillies. It'll be Utley, Pence, and Howard, scheduled hitters in the bottom of the ninth. And Descalso goes down for out number 2.
Even with all the hustle by Ruiz. Well, here's the play by Punto. My apologies. Great play at first base. And he does get him just by an eyelash. Punto has been a big part of this entire game, hasn't he? slap tags, line drives caught, ground ball plays made.
And this for a player that had appeared just twice as a pinch hitter coming into this one. And Tony La Russa, aware of his pedigree coming into postseason with the Twins twice. Nick Punto with the count 1-0 as one of the 6 hits for the Cardinals. Chris Carpenter would be next, and he's on deck. Nothing going on in the Cardinal bullpen. Fastball, 1-1. Cardinals with a first inning run on a triple by Furcal. Skip Schumacher's double, 1-0. And that has been the only scoring in the game. 1-2 now to Punto.
Well, we talked about use that crowd to your advantage if you're a visiting pitcher. And what Carpenter's been able to do is get the leadoff guy out. The Cardinals have made all the big plays. St. Louis had their opportunity in the first inning and taken advantage of it. Now they got to sweat out possibly one more inning with a 1-run lead.
It's a foul ball. So the count will remain 1 ball and 2 strikes. And this game, a lot of times, games don't turn out to be as advertised with a classic matchup of pitchers, but we have had it tonight.
Sometimes it's the subtle lineup changes that managers make. Last night for the Detroit Tigers, Don Kelly in the game, he homers. Tonight, Punto with his great defensive plays. Schumacher in center field for the 2nd time this year with a start. He drives in the run.
1-2 pitch. And Punto strikes out. Madsen strikes out 2. And now the Phillies, with all their success, have 1 more at bat. Catch game highlights, interviews, and exclusive post-game analysis from Tom Verducci and the staff of award-winning SI writers at si.com/MLB. 1-0, and the Phillies coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning, needing a run in the 5th and deciding game against the wild card Cardinals. Arthur Rhodes, the left-hander, and Jason Mott, who's been the closer, throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. Chase Utley leading off against Chris Carpenter. Utley, the only Philly hitter to reach leading off an inning when he was hit by a pitch in the 4th inning. First pitch, drive hit to center field. John Jay is back and makes the catch on the base of the wall for out number 1.
Utley, first pitch fastball by Carpenter, trying to sneak one past him. Little sinker down in the zone. The only reason that ball stayed in the ballpark, a bullet to center field. Nice play by John Jay.
So Utley exhibiting some of that power that he had in previous years, and now Hunter Pence is coming up 0 for 3 with Ryan Howard on deck. 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Fouls off the first pitch, in on the 5th. Ground ball to Descalso at 3rd. 2 gone in the bottom of the 9th inning. And fittingly, the Phillies, who are down to their last out, will have Ryan Howard coming up, who is 0 for his last 14, facing Chris Carpenter with the season on the line.
Well, I tell you, competition can bring about strange bedfellows. A sweep of the Phillies, of the Atlanta Braves, the last 3 games of the season ensured the Cardinals would make it as the wild card and face the Phillies.
Cardinals won 23 of their last 32 games. We're 10.5 behind the Braves on the 25th of August. And the first pitch to Howard, ball 1.
He's going to have to show some kind of patience. I know this is 2 outs. Carpenter is going to go after him, but he's going to go after him trying to get him to swing out of the zone.
One and one now to Howard. This crowd of 46,530 on their feet. Fouled at the plate, and now the Phillies down to their last strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan Howard, 2 out here in the 9th inning. Cardinals getting their run in the 1st inning, and it is held up since.
Well, he's had that curveball all night. He's gone in for effect. Does he throw that curveball, try to bounce it down by the foot of Howard and get the strikeout to end the game?
2-2.
Would be surprised if he doubles up. He did not make a good pitch there. This is not a guy bothered by the tension of finishing a game. This guy's been there before. Carpenter, look for him to make the adjustment right here.
Ground ball to the right side. Punto has it. And running over, and the Cardinals have done it. The St. Louis Cardinals, improbable in making the playoffs. And Ryan Howard is down. He is hurt halfway between home and first base. So Howard is hurt, and the Cardinals are celebrating out around first base. Chris Carpenter with a brilliant pitching performance, but a concern for Ryan Howard here.
As soon as he came out of the box, I don't know whether he turned his ankle or if it's an Achilles problem, but no chance he could make it down to first base as the Cardinals celebrated.
A discouraging finish to the Phillies season. They put this team together to go to the World Series. Howard is hurt, but what about the St. Louis Cardinals? A never-say-die team, John Smoltz, who are seemingly out of the wild card. They were 8.5 back in September to the Braves, and they win this series in a decisive 5th game on the road.
Well, it's unbelievable. It just goes to show you when you play the season to the final out, you never know what's going to happen. You look at the highlight right here, and this is what this manager was trying to put his team in position for. Game 5, Carpenter on his back. A memorable game for the St. Louis Cardinals and a memorable moment for Chris Carpenter.
And for the first time since 2006, the Cardinals find themselves in the National League Championship Series. Chris Carpenter, on full rest, comes back and pitches a 3-hit shutout to beat the Phillies on the road in a huge matchup with 2 pitching greats. But the Cardinals prevailed 1-0.
Disappointment for Ryan Madson and the rest of the Philadelphia Phillies. Sheer joy for the Cardinals. Chris Carpenter. Happy flight, indeed.
Yes, on their way to Milwaukee for the National League Championship Series, and a real odd scene here in Philadelphia where the visiting Cardinals are celebrating. The crowd is stunned, and their star Ryan Howard injured, getting out of the batter's box and down between first and home plate. Let's go down to Craig Sager, who's with Chris Carpenter.
Well, Chris, you won a Cy Young. You won a World Series. But in this deciding game for both teams, have you ever pitched a better game?
I don't know. It was some kind of fun. You know, we get out there and was able to get that 1 run early off Doc. He was dominant the rest of the game. I got out of a couple jams with some great defensive plays, but what an awesome night. I mean, unbelievable.
It was 1-0 in the 5th inning, and John Smoltz said that 1 run may hold up. Did you think it would?
I was just doing the best I could, keep getting head and counts, and let my guys catch the ball behind me. These guys were aggressive tonight, but I was able to keep the ball down Like I said, some guys made some great plays behind me, and the rest is what you saw.
It was a great pitching performance, great defensive performance. But what was the biggest pitch you threw tonight?
The last one right there to get the out. No question about it.
You went against your good friend, Roy Halladay. Everybody talked about this matchup. Your manager was hoping for it after game 2. But what was it like for you?
It was another game, you know, obviously with all the hype leading up to it. He's a great friend of mine. Like I said, he did a great job tonight also. He battled and dominated pretty much the whole game except for that first inning where we snuck one in on him. But it was a lot of fun.
After all this team has been through, down 10.5 games to the Braves in the wild card back in August 26th, did you find comfort in the fact that you've been in so many tough situations down the stretch in tonight's game?
I think guys were just relaxed and having fun. We put ourselves in a position where everybody was expecting us to have no chance. And we just started playing like the team we knew we were. And we were fortunate to get some help back into it with Atlanta losing. And we've been playing well the rest of that month.
You mentioned all those great defensive plays. One of them was by you when you kicked the ball in that 8th inning. Use your leg all right?
I hit it with my glove. And then Nick made an unbelievable play coming in on it. Fuki made some great plays. Guys running balls down the outfield was great all night.
It certainly was. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you, Doc.
All right, and Chris Carpenter sounds like a hockey player from New England, which is exactly what he was. And there's the celebrating in the clubhouse of the Cardinals. And right now, let's get back to Craig Sager.
Well, the game started out with a triple by Rafael Furcal. You went on to score, but terrific defensive effort as well out there. How big a game was this, and how much tension did you feel inning by inning with this 1-0?
You know, when you got a guy like Carpenter, you know he's a horse. You know, he's one of the guys always you expect he's going to pitch a great game no matter what he's doing over there. And then when you play defense behind him, you got to be on your toes. It's easy to play defense with that guy because you're always ready for you think the ground ball come to you.
You've been in some big games with the Atlanta Braves. You started the year with the Dodgers, missed 63 games with an injury, got traded at the trade deadline to St. Louis. What was it like coming over here? How'd you fit in so well?
You know, I'm feeling so good. You know, I know coming from one good club, LA Dodgers, I say thank you. They train me over here, and then when I come here, I see those guys with the same attitude. They want to win. I love to win. I don't like to lose, and then I'm glad to be here and part of this team.
You obviously had the big triple, but the play you made on Ruiz in the 8th inning, running through, diving, knocking the ball down, getting up, throwing him out. Did you think you had a chance to get him?
Yeah, you know, Rui is a catcher. I think I don't have a chance for another guy can run pretty good. That's the team. Everybody in that team is very aggressive. They can run the base. But I'm catch a boy. I say I got to put a song in my arm. I got to throw the best throw of my life.
And it was the best throw of your life.
Yeah, it's the best. And then especially when you win. Now we got a happy flight.
Happy flight it is. Back up to you, Dick.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll have coverage as well of Ryan Howard's injury in the post-game show. And I guess you guys only come to exciting, decisive 5th games of playoffs. Right?
Well, you brought us in for this 5th game. What did you expect, 9-2?
You're fine. Your thoughts.
We're going to deliver. No,
sure
we didn't do anything. We didn't deliver anything. But I'll tell you, both Carpenter and Halladay did. They were just outstanding, just touched in that first inning. But, you know, Carpenter did what he had to do, John. The pitch with just 1-run lead and knowing that might be the only one.
You know, I've been on both sides of these, and they're not fun to play when you're on the losing side. There's certainly a lot of fun, as you're seeing the screen right here. But I think these two pitchers, you know, epitomize what it is to have these guys on the mound. And when you have to win a game, what an unbelievable 1-0 game.
1-0, the final score. Let's go back down to Craig.
Thanks, Dick. I'm in the dugout right now as Tony La Russa is coming by. And Tony, you kept telling us all week you wanted this matchup between Carpenter and Roy Halladay here for the deciding game. It's what you wanted. But what was it like for you in the dugout?
Well, to be honest, I wanted us to win 2 in St. Louis. I'm just saying as a fan, we were blessed to have these two guys who are great pitchers and to have the background they had. I mean, I take my hat off to Roy Halladay with the jam in the first and then again the 7th or 8th, whatever it was, to get 1 run at all. Anybody else would have gotten 3 or 4, but Carp was great today as well.
You've won World Series games before. You're one of the winningest managers in history, but this team seems to be so different. Down 10.5 games in August to raise the wild card. What makes this team so special?
Well, I just think, first of all, the character on the team. We have a bunch of really high character type. I'm not talking about funny character. I'm talking about guts and heart. And we got tested early with Adam Wainwright and right through the first 4 or 5 months, and our club was just, hey, look, nothing's going to beat us from competing. If we're not good enough, we're not good enough. And I think that's what's special about this team. You got great guts, great heart.
You're a great animal lover. Are we going to see the rally squirrel in the next round?
Well, as long as that Miss Squirrely keeps dating Craig's Mr. Torty, I just think we should get a sweep because we don't want him to interrupt the game. The problem is that Craig hadn't been playing. I think the squirrel was looking around for Torty because Torty was looking around for Craig. I don't know. That's nonsense.
It's all nuts. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Back up to you, Dick.
All right, you can have nonsense spoken when you have won a series like this, 1-0. And let's take a look at the decisive 1-0 games in postseason history. Of course, 62 when the Yankees beat the Giants, 91 when the Twins beat the Braves. We'll move over that in a hurry. And of course, tonight, the Cardinals beating the Phillies. And of course, the only previous meeting between St. Louis and Milwaukee, the 1982 World Series. So the final score, once again, the Cardinals won, the Phillies nothing, and the Cardinals have won this NLDS Series 3-2. So for Ron Darling and John Smoltz and Craig Sager, Dick Stockton saying so long from Philadelphia, and we'll send you to Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. Remember to drink responsibly right after this. TBS is your exclusive home for the entire 2011 National League Championship Series.
Ryan Howard finishing off a miserable NLDS with injury added to insult. The final out, and he lays in a heap on the first baseline. The Phillies' 102-win regular season goes for naught. They are out. Here's manager Charlie Manning.
Things just didn't, but at the same time, we didn't do enough to get anything going. So that's kind of how I look at it. He pitched good.
Paul? Charlie, I know it always hurts to lose, obviously, but given the expectations of this team and how it played out and when it played out, does this feel any different than any of the others, or are they all just the same when it ends?
I feel, you know what? I think this one might hurt more than, it'll hurt probably more when I sit down and really start thinking about it. And what this one, I think, this is the most pitching that I ever had, depth-wise, like in a starting rotation. And our pitching definitely did a good job for us this year. And once we got Hunter Pence, I felt like our offense definitely picked up. And this is a good ball club. I mean, and and we're definitely capable of winning. But I'm sure there's other teams that say the same thing. And and how I feel, probably a week from now, I could really tell you the truth how I feel. Right now, I got some anger. I got some I don't know, and I got some. I just feel very empty.
Try to get 3 or 4 more.
Charlie, 2 tactical questions. One was the Utley steal, a straight steal, not a hit and run or anything that was blown. And did Ryan have a green light on the 3-0 from you, or was that his decision?
Ryan Howard? Yeah. Ryan Howard has a green light. He has a green light most all the time. I can take it off and give him a take sign. But at the same time, when we losing 1-0 or something like that, or like he's swinging if he gets a good ball to hit. But the object of it is to get a good ball to hit, a ball that you can hammer.
Jim?
Charlie.
Phillies manager Charlie Manuel there. We will try to get an update on Ryan Howard's condition, by the way, but he finishes the series 0 for his last 15, and Philly is done. Great to see you there, everybody. Welcome to our Atlanta studio. This is Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. You know the cast of characters. Cal, Boomer, Eck. I'm Matt. The Philadelphia Phillies, after a club record 102 wins in the regular season, were everybody's favorite certainly to go to the World Series, probably to win the World Series, but they're out. Game 5 in Philly, and apparently the Cardinals brought a stowaway on the plane because that squirrel that keeps making an appearance, we don't think it's the same
I think
squirrel.
we're going to be hearing that for a while.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
Was corralled pregame. Meanwhile, the matchup, you heard all about it. A couple of aces, former Cy Young winners, Roy Halladay, Chris Carpenter, former teammates, good friends. They've known each other since their minor league days in the Toronto system back in 1997. One pitch in, Halladay's already in a little bit of trouble. Rafael Furcal, the leadoff man, deep to right center field. He's going for a triple.
You know, once again, first inning trouble you see here for Halladay. I thought he shouldn't have gone to third, but a botched up relay play cost him.
Then it's Skip Schumacher starting in center field in this game. Double down the right field line. Furcal will trot in, and just like that, the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead. With these two pitchers on the mound, you thought maybe that could mean something.
You're hoping you get a couple more, but you see he gets in the kitchen of Pujols there, and nice play, bare hand by Utley, throws the third. That is a huge out in the first inning.
A little bit of a reversal from the Game 4 played by Pujols against Utley. Lance Berkman gets his glove, or gets the glove of Carlos Ruiz.
Catcher's interference. Starting to wonder what else could go wrong here in the first. I guess the robot, the machine, Roy Halladay might be a little bit vulnerable in the first inning. But big to get out of that with only one run.
He gets Yadier Molina to ground out to short. Fielder's choice. Berkman is done. Halladay, though, 32 pitches spent in the first. Third inning, settling in. Pujols, bye-bye.
Well, that's what good pitchers do, and he did that his last game. He gave up a 3 spot, gives up a 1 spot, and gets out of trouble, no damage. But who would have thought that would have been the only run?
That's the pitch of the game right there. That ball looks like a 3-run Johnson, and they were going to do it again like they did the first time to Kyle Loesch, but he gets away with it.
That was Raul Ibanez in the 6th. Chase Utley trying to make something happen on a curveball. Yadier Molina was able to get him.
And I like that. I mean, that's heads up by Utley. He's trying to create something, but it takes a perfect throw, and he got one out of Molina.
Quick release, strong throw, and a great tag by Punto.
Bottom 7.
3-0.
3-0. Howard is swinging away, and the reaction by Carpenter was priceless. Saw him smiling on the mound after that out. Shane Victorino, weak grounder to first. Ibanez up again. Ibanez down again.
Tons of ground balls. All you saw was ground balls, ball moving down.
Well, you have to do that in that ballpark. Anything elevated, it could be a long ways out.
Halladay's turn to respond in the 8th. Carpenter led off with a single. Furcal lays down the sacrifice bunt. Ruiz decides to go to second.
He forces it at second.
Yeah, a little desperation right there, absolutely. Trying to hold him to 1 run, trying to at least have a chance, and it was amazing. He pitches out of this in a bad jam by getting Berkman with a slider down.
Surgical at bat by Halladay against Berkman to retire him, and then he gets Matt Halladay on a ball that looked like it could be a little more trouble, but lands in Ibanez's glove, and it's still 1-0 Cardinals. More drama. Bottom half of the inning. Look at the play by Furcal.
Athletic, good strong arm, pushes himself up. Again, Ruiz running, maybe somebody else would have made that, but I tell you what, this is a fantastic play. Athletic, pushes himself up, and then shows off his hose.
That's kind of something you would do right there. I recall a few of those.
Shows off that great arm. Roscoe strikes out, but Molina can't find the ball, and he's safe at first.
Yeah, this turned out to be a big play because it got Ryan Howard to the plate at the end of the game.
But Rollins chopped that. Nick Punto makes the play. Again, Carpenter's out of the inning. He comes back for the 9th, and this looked like trouble.
This looked like trouble. First pitch, he goes hacking, and I thought this ball was out of the ballpark, but it's Carpenter's night.
Yeah, Chase was the one guy that had good numbers off of him, and he stayed down on that sinker and then really drove to center field. Didn't quite have enough power, though.
Howard grounds out to Punto. Howard injured along the first baseline, never made it to first. Again, we're trying to get a report on his condition from Philadelphia, but the Cardinals in a heap celebrating. They are on their way to the National League Championship Series for the 10th time in franchise history and the 6th time in the last 12 years. This is the first ever 1-0 Game 5 in an LDS as Carpenter pitches a 3-hit shutout, 3 strikeouts without a walk on 110 pitches. It's his 3rd shutout in his last 7 starts.
I told you it was a match of the century. Didn't I?
Nearly so, because Halladay was nearly as good. You look what he's done in the first inning. If not for the first inning, this is maybe a different outcome for the Phillies. All right, Boomer, you played with both these guys. Let's start with Chris Carpenter. Have you ever seen him this good? Why was he so effective for so long in this?
Well, I've seen Carp pitch a lot of good games, but this one I think stands out more than any of them. I mean, the way he had his composure out there, he got a run, settled down, treated it as a 0-0 game, and just went out there and pitched. He had his curveball working, elevation, but most of all, he stayed down in the zone and he helps himself out right there by tipping it off his glove. Who knows where that ball could have went right there? And that could have been a big key in the game. But this guy is he is a gamer. I mean, but him and Halladay, you know, coming up through the minor leagues in Toronto, now going against one another. I mean, nothing but respect for one another as well. But this guy, you know, he had a little bit better stuff tonight. No disrespect to Roy, but I tell you what, Carp, man, is very deserving, you know, the way his season started and that way he's finishing it. You know, he's not done yet, but he's got...
Great competitor, first of all. We saw in Game 1 he didn't have his control. He fell behind the hitters and gave up some extra base hits. Today from the get-go, he had his control, had some late sink, and what a hook. He could throw that over the plate anytime he wanted. He had all his weapons.
To me, that was like, this is money pitchers. This is what baseball's all about. You're talking about two guys that get it and throw it. I loved it. I mean, I absolutely... How can you not love it like that? And you know what? Everybody expected this, and they gave you what you wanted. And I'll tell you what, there's so much emotion the way the Carpenter pitches. You saw him at one point smile, which he never does.
Never.
Right?
Never.
And you saw him acting like an animal when there's a key play where they're bounced off him or a good defensive play. Everything was highlighted in a 1-0 game, and they are psyched. This is a special team, this St. Louis team. Coming from 10 games down, I don't know how long they're going to make it, but I'll tell you what, they are on a mission right now.
That smile came from a 3-0 pitch. A lot of people think
exactly.
he shouldn't have swung. But in a game like this, you've got to take your opportunities. He had a chance to go deep on that ball. He has the green light most all of the year. I don't second-guess that decision.
That was in the 7th, a 3-0 pitch to Ryan Howard, which he left up a little bit and got away with. He had some other challenges along the way, including the at-bat with Raul Ibanez in the 4th with a couple on.
I think it all goes back to that. You don't remember that when you 1-0 game. Forget about it. You're not watching this highlight. But this was the closest they came, really, to scoring. And you see Ibanez up there with 1st and 3rd and 2 outs. And you start him off with a hook right here to put it in his brain. The little cutter inside kind of ties him up a little bit. And then a fastball that's by him. He doesn't know what he's going to throw now, 1-2. And he throws him a hook that could have been a strike. It could have been a strike. It didn't cost him, though. And you see another good piece of hitting fighting off a breaking ball. Sooner or later, he is going to get a fastball. I'm surprised he laid off that. But now it's 3-2, fastball middle, and I thought this ball was bridge. I thought it was gone. This is almost like Jeter last night, right? It's like, I mean, if Philly knew that was really their only chance, that's a 9th inning, that's like, it would have been devastating.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. That's the difference between 3 days rest and full rest in Carpenter. Big, huge for him.
Well, we knew runs would come at a premium in this game, or guessed as much with those 2 arms on the mound. We didn't realize there would be just one run set up by the first batter of the game who swung at the first pitch.
Yeah, for Kyle hit a ball in the gap, and normally that looks like a double, and with no outs, you're not going to take a chance on stretching it into 3. But for Kyle's got good speed, and I like the strategy here. You know, it says, okay, runs might be a premium, and we don't know that. Let's try to take it to him. Let's get a run early. So going in there, rattles in the corner 398 feet away. He sees it, says, I'm going to take a chance. And now the double cutoff wasn't executed perfectly. You know, this is the one time when you throw the ball in from the outfield. You want to throw high to the first guy. If you miss the first guy, it airmails him, and it's a perfect throw to the second guy. You can relay that throw. When the ball's down, you got to go down and get it and try to make that throw. Furcal was able to beat it to third base. Again, a big chance right there, but a chance worth taking, and it proved to be the only run.
Schumacher drove him in for the game's only run. Furcal, by the way, no triples in the regular season, 2 in the playoffs so far. It is the postseason, and weird stuff just happens. Cardinals going to the NLCS. They need an opponent. Earlier tonight, the Brewers and Diamondbacks settled that thanks to Nyjer Morgan, a walk-off win for the Brew Crew. The highlights and reaction from Milwaukee when we come back. Back on Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan, and the scene from Philadelphia. Stunned Phillies fans trying to figure out what just happened to their 102-win regular season team. So much promise cut so short in the postseason. Craig Sager caught up with Charlie Manuel just a short while ago.
Well, thanks, Matt. A disappointing ending to a fabulous season for the Phillies, but adding to the disappointment, the injury to Ryan Howard in the last out of the game. What can you tell us about it?
I can tell you he hurt his ankle, and it looked like he turned it pretty bad. And the doctors got him back in on the trainer room, and he's on the table. But they will X-ray him, and probably I'd say we'll know something within 5 or 10 minutes, really.
All right, that's just a short while ago with Charlie Manuel. Again, 102 wins is a franchise record, 5 straight NL East division titles. Free agent situation is not all that extensive, but some names obviously important to this club. Jimmy Rollins, Raul Ibanez, and the closer Ryan Madson, and some options as well. Moments ago, Craig Sager checked in once again with an update on Ryan Howard.
After grounding out for the final out of the game, Ryan Howard did collapse on the way to first base. He was carried off the field. He had X-rays in the locker room, evaluated by the doctors. It appears he has an Achilles injury to his left ankle. He will have an MRI. We'll probably know more tomorrow. Back to you guys.
All right, Sakes, thank you so much. Again, Ryan Howard 0 for his last 15 in this series, including the final out of the NLDS. Sometimes you look at these games and it's tough to analyze a team's performance over a series, especially after a 1-0 game like this. I mean, it's hard to assess any blame. Do you see anything big picture that could have carried the Phillies past the Cards in this series?
Well, no. I mean, you look at the pitching duel, you can't discredit what Carpenter did. I mean, this guy went out and pitched his butt off, and, and he held them to a minimum. And, I mean, that's something that you have to do. Yeah, they had opportunities, but good pitching will stop good hitting, on any given day. But the thing is that when you have opportunities, you got to capitalize. Those didn't happen, but then you got to give credit to the starting pitcher who's done it. On the flip side, Roy Halladay, we saw what that happened in his first game. Gave up 3 runs, and then he shut him down for 21 guys in a row. So that's just the things that go on in baseball. That's the beauty of this game, when you can go out there and just, put shutdown innings after getting a run, and that's what you try to do. You treat it as a 0-0 ball game, then you go out and you make your pitches. You pitch aggressively, which both these guys did, and Carpenter just happened to be, on the winning side of that. But I tell you, it's for me. I obviously biased because I'm a pitcher. I love seeing those 1-0 ball games because it just goes.
That was a classic game.
Yeah, well, disappointing for the Phillies. It is disappointing for the Phillies. There's no guarantees. When you get to the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. Any team can beat any other team. And in a shorter series, the 5-game series, they're more exposed. Certainly the Phillies have more depth, and that'll show up in a 7th-game series. And you can usually determine who's the best team in a 162. But in the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. And St. Louis just played better and beat them.
Beyond that, though, this is a snapshot of the Phillies season. They did not swing the bats good this year. Let's face it.
They had stretches.
They got away with murder. You're talking about the best pitching staff in the game. They got away with murder, and they're going to have a lot of decisions to make about this offense because this offense is getting old. It really is. And anybody, like you said, can win a 5-game series. But, they didn't get away with it, and they got caught. Not to take anything away from Carpenter, but their offense just sputtered.
See Ryan Howard there, again, an ankle injury on him after a series in which he hit just 105. The Phillies as a team, remember they scored 11 runs in Game 1, just 10 the rest of the way in the final 4 games of the series, and they are done for 2011. Cards and Brewers are not. They'll start up in Milwaukee on Sunday. We'll look ahead to the National League Championship Series when we come back.
Shut up.
2011 NLCS will be a rematch of the 1982 World Series between the Brewers and the Cards, the so-called Sud Series, when Bruce Sutter struck out Gorman Thomas to end Game 7. Willie McGee hit a couple of homers in that game. Darryl Porter, your World Series MVP in 1982. The 2011 versions of the Cards and Brewers split their season series 9 games apiece. Well, the Brewers went on to win the NL Central Division. 3:30 Eastern Time. We'll get you going with MLB On Deck, presented by Chrysler. 4 o'clock, Game 1 from Milwaukee. And don't forget to log on to MLB.com for scores, updated schedules, and exclusive video throughout the 2011 postseason. And go to Yahoo Sports for more in-depth analysis of every postseason game on the Postseason Report, presented by Captain Morgan, only on Yahoo Sports. Coming up next, you know it, you'll love it. Can't end a show with two teams, two becomes alive. Teams. He's going alive. It's alive, baby. Telling you.
Welcome to Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live.
2-2 pitch. Headed home. Swing and a ground ball to the second baseman. Here's the throw to first. Out at first, and the Cardinals win this one 1-0 as Carpenter goes the distance.
The Cardinals, an improbable way of getting through the first round and actually making it into the playoffs, but then getting on to the NLCS. They do it tonight, 1-0, the shutout final. Chris Carpenter, an amazing pitching performance, a real gem that'll certainly go down as one of the greatest in Cardinal postseason history. The Cardinals take the series 3-2, and they'll advance to the NLCS for the first time since 2006. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside our Fox Sports Midwest studio in St. Louis for this special playoff postgame edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, alongside two men, of course, who, well, they're certainly happy that the Cardinals are on their way to the NLCS. That's Rick Horton. And on our far left, Al Roboski. I'm Pat Paris. Coming up, we're going to get you back for a reaction to Philadelphia after the Cardinals take this series. We'll take you inside the clubhouse for the celebration, all the happy flight talk, and the champagne that'll certainly be flowing at a very happy edition of Tony TV as well, as we get you set for the NLCS against the Brewers in Milwaukee. They'll begin on Sunday. Before we get to all that, gentlemen, your thoughts. We'll start with you, Al. An improbable run that began in late August that almost didn't happen until the last night of the season and didn't happen until the fifth game of this NLDS.
It really took a historic collapse by the Atlanta Braves. And also, think about it, Charlie Manuel had his team. He told us when we were in Philadelphia with 2 weeks to play, right after they clinched, he said, I will have my team ready to play the Atlanta Braves. This is not over for the Cardinals. And I wonder if he thinks back now and says, I wonder if I should have done that. But Charlie played the game the right way, and boy, did the Cardinals come up with just an unbelievable series, pressure-packed all the way through. It took almost a nearly perfect game by Carpenter, and he delivered.
And what a spectacular way, Al, to end this series. And I think we have to first tell the Cardinal fans, you can breathe now. I mean, we're breathing, but we were having trouble the last 4 innings. What a game this was. Halladay and Carpenter could not have been better. The billing for this game was pitcher's duel. You're not going to want to miss it. And I hope you saw every single pitch of this game, because this is going to be one of the games that goes down in Cardinal history people will talk about for years to come.
We certainly will be talking about it. We'll be talking about it for some time this evening as well. Remember, Cardinal fans, we want your thoughts on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. The tweet is on. Give us your thoughts via Twitter at FS Midwest is our address. Hashtag them 11 and 11 or hashtag them postseason if you'd like. We'll have those throughout the show coming up. Let's get right back to Philadelphia. Jim Hayes moments ago catching up with Yadier Molina. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Jim?
All right, guys, I am with Yadier Molina. So it comes down to Game 5, and it seems you guys play your best baseball when your backs are to the wall. You've been doing it for a month and a half now.
Yeah, we did a great job. I mean, in the first inning, Fulke with a triple, Skip with a great at-bat, Carp. I mean, what can I say about Carp, man? He did a great job. I'm just happy for him and for my team, too.
What was working for Carpenter tonight?
Everything. I think his fastball, sinking it, down in the sun, the breaking ball, slider. He was aggressive early in the count and finished it up under the under. I mean, he did a great job.
What's the confidence level going into this game when you guys know that you have Carpenter on the hill?
Yeah, I mean, every time he get on the mound, I mean, we know that we got pretty good chance to win the game. But at the same time, they got a great horse over there, Halladay. But you know, we battle. You know, 1-0 game. I mean, I'm glad we went our way.
I know you'll enjoy this one tonight, and then you get Milwaukee next. Thoughts on that series?
Right now, I'm looking for a celebrate with my teammate.
Well, go do it.
All right,
thanks, Yachty. We send it back to you.
Chris Carpenter, Gianni was just talking about, was outstanding tonight. A terrific gem of a performance by the right-hander and the workhorse ace of this Cardinals staff. You had to have this effort because Roy Halladay was opposing him.
Halladay was very, very good, and as Gianni said, really everything was working for Carpenter down in the zone. He said he was aggressive. I really liked his cutter. I thought his cutter was dominating at times, and this is a pretty good Philadelphia Philly lineup, and they, with their power, can be very dangerous in that ballpark, but only a couple scares really all game long for Carpenter. He was in control.
A couple of the hits that he gave up were just ground balls that found a hole. You know, I always talk about the great competitor that Carpenter is, and the best word I can use is Gibson-like.
And that's why this will go down as one of the best Cardinal pitching performances in postseason. Very Bob Gibson-like. Also, heck, let's just call it one of the best postseason pitching performances ever, because you couldn't do a whole lot better than a 3-hit shutout.
And he did it on the road. He could not afford to make one mistake, and he did.
In a very hostile environment with a very formidable lineup, and he was able to take care of that. And he got shredded as well.
Yes,
you know, things are going well when you get shredded. Now look at what happened with Chris Carpenter Game 2 versus Game 5 tonight. Everybody knows the issues Chris Carpenter had in that Game 2 start. Didn't last long, 3 innings, faced 16 batters, and gave up 4 earned runs. Well, tonight it was a completely different story, and this is exactly why Tony La Russa said after this ball game, hey, what about a Carpenter-Halladay matchup? And it worked out.
Yeah, I think the one thing to concentrate to is you know, he's pitching on a short day's rest. And I said that wasn't the biggest problem. The problem was he wasn't throwing strikes. And, you know, he was pitching behind the count to everybody. Tonight, a different story. Didn't walk a man, and he just had command of the strike zone with all 3 of his pitches, kept everyone off balance. It was just an outstanding performance. And it was something he told his teammates. You get to take Game 5, and I'll take care of the rest.
And he certainly grabbed the ball and he ran with it. Let's get back out to the city of brotherly love. Jim Hayes standing by with Tony La Russa. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Jim?
All right, I'm going. All right, guys, I am with Tony La Russa. How proud are you of this ball club?
Couldn't feel better about him, Jim. I mean, the guts they've demonstrated all year long. And then we had that bad period, and we just pulled it back together and got to this point. I mean, we just were here to compete. It was very simple. Just play your hearts out, see what the score is, and it went our way.
You went with Carp on 3 days rest. Part of it, I'm sure, you wanted him available for this game, and obviously that worked out because he was brilliant tonight.
Well, we won the game he pitched too, because our club feels special. And if you're going to have a chance against this club, he had to pitch twice in this series. Our club knows it, and that's part of the reason they came back. When he got down, they're going to pick him up. He picks us up all the time, so. You know, Carp, this was a matchup. Halladay is so good. I mean, anybody else with the first thing in, whether the 7th or 8th, we'd have had 3 or 4 runs, and we get 1. He's great, but Carp was great today as well.
Last thing, you've had some great ball clubs, but this team in particular has been on the brink time after time. Have you ever had a team as resilient as this one?
Well, don't forget 2001. Anytime you win, you go through a lot. It's never been easy. And I would never disrespect any of the teams that won, but this one had more than its share of ups and downs and heartbreaks, and they got great guts.
Still work to do. Thanks, Tony. All right, Tony La Russa, we send it back to you.
Jim Hayes, thank you very much. Obviously, Tony La Russa can be a lightning rod in this town and across Cardinal Nation, but he was right about you can't disrespect the teams of the past, but this one has a huge place, I think, the heart of all Cardinal fans.
Well, he's been very consistent on that fact. He does not want to compare one team to another, and he's been doing that really his entire managerial career. Doesn't like to compare one player to another, say this is the best guy, this is the toughest player, etc. But the other thing that he's consistent with, and he was all September, is the moves that he makes that not all of us like, frankly. I mean, we'll watch all the moves he does in the 7th, 8th, and the 9th inning, and, you know, there are times where it just drives us batty. But you've got to say that the moves that he made over the last 3 weeks, almost every one of them worked out, especially what he did with the bullpen.
I think a lot of times it's preparation that happens that we do not see before and after ball games. One of the things that I liked was he was talking about, hey, it was great. Some of my players were talking about what if we don't win this game, shouldn't be ashamed or shouldn't be embarrassed. And he didn't like that. You know, what he said is, you know, let's just keep on playing hard. If we win, fine, we can say that. But don't say it before a game. Go out there and challenge yourself to be great.
And maybe the best move Tony La Russa made tonight was a move he didn't make, and taking Chris Carpenter out when they thought maybe we could get another run at any point.
We were all hoping for that. I know a lot of Cardinal fans were saying, please don't take him out.
Exactly.
And if he'd have come up with a couple runners on in that 8th inning,
I'd have left him in.
We might have had a
We all
problem.
said we'd leave him in, but
Yes,
we
we
didn't
did.
know if that was actually going to be the case. Let's get back to Philadelphia. Jim Hayes has repositioned himself now inside the Cardinal clubhouse, and he's standing by with Albert Pujols. Jim?
Well, who am I talking first?
Let me ask you a couple questions, Albert. To be down two, does that burn your eyes?
Yeah. What's up, Jim?
To be down 2 games. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, that's cold. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
It's hard for me to concentrate anyway. All right, so down 2-1, and it's been that way all season long for you guys. Backs to the wall, backs to the wall. I guess that wasn't a concern that you guys would come back and find a way to win this series.
Hey, listen, man. It's I mean, you just need to, everybody contribute, for us to be here today. I mean, Game 4 was David Fried, I mean, Game 2 was me with the base hit, and tonight was the big ace, Carp, going against Roy. We knew it was gonna be tough. We knew that it's gonna be a lower score, but I'm glad that we scored in that first, and that's all it took. But Carp was unbelievable once again, and just the concentration, that he had today. And to be here, against 48,000 people, and Philadelphia has a great ball club. You had to give credit to those guys. I mean, they won 102 games for a reason. They were good. And we knew it was going to be tough, the whole series. And obviously, we just played a little bit better today than they did.
Looking at Carp stuff in the early going, did you know he was going to have one of those dominant performances? Could you tell?
Well, anytime you had Roy and any of those guys on the other side and our side, it's like Carp and Wainwright, in the past. You know that those guys are going to keep you in the game. I mean, they might have one inning that they have a tough inning, but besides that, they don't make too many mistakes. And obviously, Carp didn't do too many today. And about that play that Carp made, that changed everything in there, and it was unbelievable.
Thanks for the timeout. All right, we send it back to you guys. Whoa.
Well, we don't want Jim to have all the fun, although this is the non-alcoholic sparkling Welch's grape juice, but we're going to toast the
feeling
Cardinals
celebratory here, aren't
well,
we?
why not? Poor Jim Hayes.
And we're not pouring that on each other's head, are we?
They're actually going after Jim now, but he
That's
probably
too bad,
deserves
isn't
it.
it, Al?
Probably
Isn't that
deserves it, Al.
That is a compliment to Jim. He has one of the most difficult jobs day in and day out and everything, and it's really a compliment and how much they like Jim Hayes.
They really do.
For them to go after him this way, because
we kinda
it's
like it,
nothing
too.
malicious. There are guys you dislike that you do it to, but with Jim, truly, it's out of friendship.
Absolutely right. He got shredded after all. I mean, earlier than in the postseason.
One of my favorite times of the year.
That's always great to be shredded. Jim Hayes, hardest working man in local cable TV, is now standing by with Matt Holliday, I understand. Jim, take it away.
All right, I'm with Matt Holliday and Roy Halladay. You guys,
you're wet fatigue.
Well, you know why? Because the stuff you guys pour on me is very cold, and I'm frail.
You didn't wear goggles, though.
No, because that would be really cheaping out. But let's talk about Roy Halladay. You guys get to him early. You're Halladay, he's Halladay. And how important to get to him in the early
Well, that one run, I mean, shoot. Once he gets settled in, as we saw last time we faced him, those are tough at bats. I mean, this guy's throwing cutters and sinkers and curveballs and splits. He's a really good pitcher, and, Carp made the one run stand up.
When you're watching that game unfold from your position in the outfield, are you thinking this could end up a 1-0 game? I mean, did it have that feel to you?
Well, the way Carp was pitching, it could have. We wanted to add on 1 or 2, anything we could get to make it a little bit easier on him. But, he just willed it in there and willed us to win, and 1-0.
So you don't flinch from the cold. To be down 2-1 against this team that has some outstanding pitching, and to be able to come back and win, most people didn't give you guys a chance going in. What does that say about this ball?
Well, we just kept playing. We played really well down the stretch to get in, and then we just kept with it. And it's a loose bunch. It's a great bunch of guys that enjoy coming to the field, and just didn't feel like it was ready to be over. We were having too much fun and enjoying playing together, and to get a chance to move on, I think we're all thrilled.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. All right, that's Matt Holliday. All right, we're going to bring in.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. The difference between Holiday and Halladay is something a lot of people make the mistake of. They were able to get to Roy Halladay, we'll call him Doc, because they did it like they did in the first game that they faced him in that first inning.
Well, they jumped on him early, but they really didn't get a lot in that first inning.
Yes.
They were able to get that one run across, but Rafael Furcal did what the Cardinals really needed, and that's get the first guy on. And he didn't just get on, he hits a triple. I mean, he just turns on this pitch and powers it into right center field, and Furcal might have been out. Al notices when it happened. If he hits the cutoff man here instead of getting the trailer, that's not Utley. Now it's the shortstop Rollins, and it's a bang-bang play. He might have been out at third.
Well, I think there's no doubt, but that was the first break. The next break was Schumacher. What a great at-bat he had. 10-pitch at-bat before he doubles in for a call and puts himself in scoring position. And as you said, there was a lot of action in the first inning for only one run, but it did hold up.
First ever in his career for Roy Halladay, first time ever that he's given up back-to-back extra base hits to start a game, a triple and a double. Remarkable.
And he threw 33 pitches in that first inning, and for him to be able to settle down the way he did just shows how good he is.
And the first inning in both game number 1 and game number 5, he allowed 4 hits and 4 earned runs, 3 to Lance Berkman on that home run in that game 1 that he was the winner in, Roy Halladay. But in game 5, he ends up being the loser with just 1 run given up. We're going back to Philadelphia now, back inside the champagne and beer celebration. Lance Berkman standing by with Jim Hayes, brought to you by the Missouri Lottery.
Cheers.
I didn't see any goggles.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The years past, you see a lot of goggles. Old school, no goggles. So tell me about this game and facing Halladay, who was just unbelievable tonight.
Well, he's really tough, and that's sometimes what you got to do to beat a guy like that is just to have an unbelievable pitching performance of your own. And we struck for a run quickly and made it stand up. I mean, what do you say? Carp basically won that game by himself.
When you saw what Carp was doing out there, it doesn't, I would assume, come as any surprise, because that's what he does. Especially once he got in the groove, he was that way for the for the last part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been great, and we expected him to keep us in the ball game. I don't know if you could expect a guy to throw a complete game shutout in this ballpark, particularly against that team, but he's been a big game pitcher for so many years, and every time the Cardinals needed a huge start, he's the guy that they turn to, and he usually delivers.
10.5 back, late August. You said the team can still play good baseball and get back into it. If I asked you back then that you'd be here popping the champagne corks after winning the division series, would you have said yes?
Well, I don't think obviously you can't say definitively. I'm a realist that when you're 10.5 games back with just a month to play, and especially behind a good team like the Braves, you know that the possibility exists that you can do this. But to say that I expected to be here is probably a little bit of a reach.
I'm going to let you go because I don't think you're wet enough. I think people need to pour some stuff on you. Let's bring in
Jim now directing guys to go get doused with champagne and Anheuser-Busch products. Lance Berkman obviously has been a huge motivational leader and obviously a guy that can swing the bat and kind of carry a team for a while, which he did this year.
Well, and a Hungo Award winner of the year. But Lance has just been unbelievable. I think we've tried to convey it to all the Cardinal fans that obviously we always respected his immense talent, his ability when he was playing for Houston. But coming over here and seeing him, how real he is every single day, and just his personality in that clubhouse, it was really a difference maker. John Mozeliak went and wanted to bring a little levity to the clubhouse, and he did an excellent job, led by Berkman.
And he's a realist, too. This is a word he used. I mean, he said he's not afraid to tell the truth, even if you don't really want to hear it.
Well, I think we all still held out hope till you find out you're not going to make the postseason. When they tell you you're eliminated,
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's not going to do that.
He's not going to do that, but at the same time, you realize it was a real long shot, and they were able to carry through and come through when their backs were against the wall time and time again, and they did it again tonight in this decisive game in Philadelphia. Going back there right now, Jason Mott, the next guy Jim Hayes is going to talk to. Jim, take it away.
All right, I'm with Jason Mott, who left the celebration momentarily. So talk about this ball club and being down 2-1 against a team that most people thought was going to go on and represent the National League. You guys didn't buy into that, obviously.
No, it's the same thing. We've said it before, and it's one of those things, we've never given up, and, we went out there and proved it this series, and tonight, we got one run, and Carp did a heck of a job, and he held them off, and that was amazing.
You're sitting in the bullpen thinking, do I have to pitch? Or are you thinking maybe at some time, is that cold?
No, it feels kind of warm.
That Carp had it? I don't need that, thank you.
That was nice, but, if they called down for me to get ready to go, I was going to be
cold.
I was going to be ready to go, but, he went out there and finished it off, and it was beautiful, man.
You guys got Milwaukee next.
Yep.
Thoughts about that series? A little bad blood between the two teams. Not that you guys need anything to motivate you.
Yeah, I think that kind of stuff's in the past. It's over and done with. We got to go out there and we have to win ball games. They're going to try to win ball games. So, it is what it is. Our pitcher's going to go there, try to get them out. They're going to try to get us out. So, we're ready to go.
Thanks, Potter. All right, let's.
Jim, thank you, and certainly the bullpen will be remembered for what they were able to do, Al, down the stretch and even here in the postseason, although they were fortunately not needed tonight at all.
Well, in today's game, the bullpen is so valuable. You have to have an outstanding closer, and you better have 2 or 3 setup men. Carpenter didn't need any help today, but that's a rarity in today's baseball. But the bullpen is going to be a big factor, and they were. Just remember they won game in Philadelphia where they pitched 6+ innings of one-hit baseball and shutout baseball. So they're going to be well-tested in the Milwaukee series, and I think right now, I told you before the game, if it came down to the bullpen with Philadelphia, I favored the Cardinal bullpen, and let's hope I won't necessarily say that against Milwaukee, but I think our starters are better than Milwaukee's starters.
Well, we talked about the importance of the Cardinal bullpen, and really the celebration that's going on right now, Al, and we know it, is a celebration of the team. It's Chris Carpenter, yes, he's kind of the hero of the day. There was very good defense by the Cardinals today, but when you have that kind of celebration in the clubhouse, you're celebrating what's happened before that to get you to that point, too, and if it were not for what the Cardinal bullpen was able to do the last 3 weeks, they are not having that celebration right now.
Absolutely right. We're continuing our coverage here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, the celebration of the Cardinals winning the decisive Game 5, non-alcoholic, by the way.
That's
everyone.
Good grape juice.
That's probably not non-alcoholic there in Philadelphia.
No, I would imagine
Let's talk about Skip Schumacher, because that was certainly the only run of the game, and it was a key at bat. Already just the second batter of the game. Skip Schumacher gets the start after the Rafael Furcal triple. Al, it was a remarkable at bat for him if you break it down to that one at bat, 10 pitches, and he delivers.
Well, you just know that, Halladay, you aren't going to get many opportunities. And like a lot of great pitchers, you've got to do it in the first inning. Man on third base for Kyle with his leadoff triple. Here you see the breaking ball. Then you get another one inside, and then a tough pitch just a little bit away, top of the strike zone. Every time he made a good borderline pitch, he was either fouled off or he taked it. Took a pitch that was just off the plate. There's another one. You just self-defense almost. There's a great pitch right there. Just got a little piece of it to keep the bat alive, and he finally got a mistake, was able to pull it down in the corner for the RBI double. Who would have known at that time that would be the only scoring of this great ball game?
Couldn't have known at the time, but it certainly was, as Skip Schumacher delivers the only RBI of Game 5, the decisive game of this NLDS. Cardinals do win it 1-0. Let's skip back over to Philadelphia. Jim Hayes catching up with Skip Schumacher a moment ago inside that victorious clubhouse.
How come Bill DeWitt Jr. stays dry in 2 straight champagne celebrations?
I hope he stays dry in 2 more. That's I don't care if he has 2 more and he stays dry. I'm okay with it.
Came out of the game with the oblique tightness. I'm assuming everything feels pretty good right now for you.
It's a lot better right now, no doubt about it. I'll take all the champagne in the world for a little oblique strain.
You got the RBI, only run of the game. It stood up facing Halladay. Take us through that at bat, and what were you trying to do? But obviously get a hit.
I was just trying to put it in play. Infield was back, and it's tough enough sometimes to put it in play against a guy like that. And luckily, I got enough barrel on it. I think he hung 1 pitch, and that was it. And luckily enough to put it in the outfield and get an RBI on it.
When that run crosses the plate, are you thinking, with these 2 guys, that could be it for scoring, or were you thinking there was more to come?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you're talking about one of the best lineups, not only in the National League, but in the Major Leagues, so you never know. And, that was the first inning, so you're hoping Carp's on this game, but you never know. And we had a good feeling that Carp was probably going to be on this game, and he was, and it just what a great feeling.
What gave you the clue that Carp was going to have one of those Carpenter-type performances?
Well, I mean, he's Chris Carpenter, so he's going to have one of those more likely than not. So, you know, you want your best guy against their best guy and see what happens, and that's all you can do, and that's all you can ask for in Game 5. And I mean, what a great feeling.
Go rest the oblique. Have a little fun. Skip Schumacher.
Jim, thank you. The tweet is on here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Carp was an absolute warrior tonight. 11-11. Cardinals Destiny. I like that hashtag, Cardinals Destiny. Another tweet. Holy cow, what a gem by Carp. There is baseball west of the Eastern time zone, 11-11. And talking about the squirrel again, the rally squirrel.
By the way, there's only 4 teams left now as we reshuffle the cards and think about what's going on. No team on the West Coast, no team on the East Coast.
Exactly right. Cards just did the impossible, unreal. Happy flight, STL Cards.
Happy flight.
Happy flight. Speaking of Chris Carpenter's gem, one quick note. First complete game shutout in a decisive game of a playoff series since Jack Morris in 1991. Remember, he had to go 10 innings in shutting out in that Game 7 of the World Series, shutting out the Braves. And that was a terrific game, finally won by the Twins in the bottom of the 10th.
It's only the third 1-0 game in a decisive game ever, and I can't imagine watching a better baseball game today. I mean, obviously, we were tense throughout this entire game, and when you have a 1-0 game, every single pitch matters. Every single bunt mattered in this game. Moving the runner over. The stolen base that didn't happen, Yadier Molina throwing out Chase Utley, is a huge play in this game. Utley hadn't been thrown out but twice in the last couple of years, and Molina threw him out on a curveball. So there was some defense that really came into play as well, and Furcall's play late was a big part of it.
It certainly was. A lot of great defense. Let's talk, Al, about specifically Yadier Molina on a curveball, which is so tough to throw at any base runner, let alone a guy that had stolen 50 of 52 chances in Utley the last 2 seasons.
Well, that's the most impressive thing, is we know Yadi is a great defensive catcher, but to call a first pitch curveball with a base stealer out there in a 1-0 game, trying to get into scoring position with nobody out. So he did that on his own, calling the curveball because he's not selfish. If you're selfish, you throw a fastball right there trying to protect against the stolen base. So I give Yadi tremendous credit right there, and one of the strongest and best throws. What a release on that play.
And we like the quick tag of Punto as well, because that's not easy. The throw was not high, but he had to get that and get it down in a hurry to the right spot and hang on. He did a nice job.
And we need to commend the umpires, because so many times we talk about, you know, the blown calls, the missed calls. There was one controversial one, the skip catch, but they did change it. That one was absolutely the right call. They did a terrific job.
And I thought the strike zone was really good tonight as well.
Yeah.
I didn't think there were too many things, too many arguments either way, and a couple pitches on the corner. In fact, when you've got a guy like Halladay pitching, he is going to go right for the corners. That's what I love about the Fox tracks. We are seeing pitches on this corner, on that corner, down on the zone, pitch after pitch, and I thought, again, the home plate umpire did a nice job.
Yeah, they certainly did. David Freese, I understand, standing by with Jim Hayes. Let's get back to Philadelphia right now, brought to you by the Missouri Lottery.
Rally squirrel, you guys buying into that? He brought it up. I was going to leave it by the side, but he brought it up.
You know, I didn't believe it until I saw it after the game on OD's shoulder. But, man, this is awesome. Are you kidding me? Coming into their house and battling. I mean, Chris Carpenter, Skip Schumacher, Furcall, Yadi. I mean, those are some names that, you know, made this game possible for us for sure.
Different heroes along the way kind of, I think, separates the two teams. You guys had a bunch of different guys contribute.
Yeah, that's what it takes in the postseason, you know, and to get in the postseason. And, come on, Mater. And, you know, but you know, every night it could be somebody different.
I hope these guys are going to.
Yeah, this is not. This is.
Okay, bye.
See, that's what you're talking about. They don't do that to the guys they'll do it a much more mean-spirited way to the guys they don't like. They'll do that to the guys they really like.
Well, they kind of use the empty bottle.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of slam it on you. But no, that's all in fun and all in jest. Just think what kind of great player Freese is going to be when he can play 9 innings.
Yeah, well, when it becomes an everyday play. Well, you wanted him to stay in this game. And really not a lot of moves in this game. You think, you know, Chambers came in late, and really the Cardinals didn't have a lot of moves. It'd be interesting to see how Skip Schumacher mends. It's too early to be worried about that yet. We're still all celebrating, so, you know, I've kind of got the pitching thing lined out here for the next 7 games. We'll talk about that later.
Sure.
But what happens with Skip Schumacher if he can't play? And a reminder, I think, to start thinking about is Tony can reshuffle his deck and pick an entire entire new roster as we go to the next series.
And speaking of that, don't forget, Fox Sports Midwest is your home for Cardinal baseball throughout the season and the postseason. As soon as coverage ends on TBS of the NLCS, turn it on over here.
Tell your friends.
We'll be here for every one of the games, and we hope we'll still be here when it comes to World Series time as well. Much more to come, though, on this postseason edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. The champagne baths continue. Waino, Garcia, the Shredder, all coming up. Before the game tonight at Citizens Bank Park, the Rally Squirrel made an appearance. Not sure how he was able to get all the way to Philly, but he was there. He's a flying squirrel,
We
I'll
should say
say.
that no animals were injured in the filming of this little thing we got going.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if Tony
No,
Bruce
I'm
is
just
going
saying
to be
we
happy.
should say that. I'm not saying that's true.
We should say that.
I think we're
We
supposed
did
to
not
say it.
intentionally harm any animals in the filming of this video earlier today, but the Rally Squirrel has certainly taken on a life of its own in Philadelphia.
You always have things, don't you? You got the Happy Flight thing, Mark, and you got the 11-11, and every year.
Torty, don't forget
He's got more
Torty.
tweeters than you do.
I know that. Thanks for reminding me of that.
I think the Rally Squirrel is.
does, yeah.
I think the Rally Squirrel is over 20,000 followers now on Twitter.
Yeah. You're what 200?
And this is like
I'm not
day
gonna tell
3
you.
or 4 of, yeah, what are you at? A couple of close friends of
I
yours?
know Al's not following me. That's for sure.
Let's get back, shall we, to the champagne celebration going on in Philadelphia. Jim Hayes, moments ago, catching up with the co-ace who sidelined this year, Adam Wainwright. Jim?
What did you think of Carp tonight?
Carp was unbelievable. Probably the game of his life. And couldn't be in a bigger moment. That's exactly what we expect out of him. That's what he expects out of himself. That's why he's great.
When you go down at spring training, and a lot of people are writing the Cardinals off, all right, I'm getting killed, but I'm gonna battle through here.
Be a pro
I
right
can
here.
barely,
Be a
yeah.
pro. This is a big moment.
You
It's
didn't
like
buy
Carp.
into that. You said that this team could still do it.
Yeah.
There are many points during the season people wrote them off. What made you feel that this team could carry on and had something special?
Well, for one, we have great players, and that's the most important thing. But the next thing is that we have great character, and all these guys in here want to win, but they also have the heart of Lions. These are a bunch of Lions in here, and so, you know, a little help from the Rally Squirrel and help from our great fans at home, and we came out here behind a pitching performance of a lifetime. I mean, that's probably one of the best games I've ever seen right there. Two of the masters of what they do out there. One-on-one, facing each other, mano-a-mano. Two great teams. It doesn't get much better.
Shout out for the Rally School. Thanks, Adam.
Jim Hayes, he's a trooper. He just keeps going on and on and on.
We got another animal to deal with. Now we're lions. The squirrels.
That's true. We've got all of
Now
that.
we're lions.
You know, Jim brought that up with Adam Wainwright. It's a great point. Remember when spring training happened and the whole Tommy John surgery, we knew it was going to happen to Adam Wainwright. Remember, they went from being absolutely the favorite in this division to down to third and fourth in a lot of people's mind, which I thought was pretty dramatic. But at the same time, we understood why people thought that.
Oh, no doubt about it. And the unthinkable. You can't replace an Adam Wainwright, but they pretty much did for the first half of the season. Then they got into August and they had the rough stretch right there, but they regrouped. And don't forget the trade. The trade deadline, if you don't make that trade, the Cardinals probably aren't sitting where they are today, let alone even getting into postseason. So John Mozeliak pulled the trigger. Ownership allowed him to take on more salary. And they got the right guys that fit in with the environment and the camaraderie of this ball club. And as Furcal said, you know, he said, I want to win. I want to win more than anything, and that's really what it takes.
Tony La Russa takes his share of heat in St. Louis. Obviously, he has ever since he's managed here, but you've got to give him credit for that attitude of, I'm not going to worry about who I don't have, I'm going to worry about who I do have. And that's exactly what he said when Wainwright went down in spring training, and that's what he said when Holiday got hurt a couple of times and Pujols got hurt and go down the line. And he teaches his players that, you know, you can look back and say, well, we shoulda, coulda, woulda, but, you know, what really matters is what can you do now with who you've got. And he does a nice job, I think, of raising the level of confidence in the team that they've got enough to win.
Al, you pointed out that this team was so good starting pitching-wise in that first few months of the season, and then they really hit the skids, or had a bump in the road, I should say. Chris Carpenter was the opposite. While the rest of the rotation was going so well, he was struggling to get wins. Pitching pretty well, but not as well as he pitched in the second half of the season. Let's talk more about what Chris Carpenter was able to do tonight and the gem that he threw against the Phillies and the jams he was able to get out of. We're going to start in the second inning, Al. And they weren't major jams, but in a 1-0 game, every jam could turn the game the other way.
No doubt about it. He has great confidence in himself. So does his own team. In the second inning, there's one out, and here's Victorino gets a double down the right field corner. And you're already up 1-0, but a man's in scoring position, and you really, I don't care where you are in the point of the Philadelphia order. This is a dangerous ballpark, and here he gets the pop up right in foul territory. Victorino does not advance, so he gets the second out. And then Polanco, who we know is a great little clutch hitter, he's had a rough time against the Cardinals, whether he's playing for Detroit or for Philadelphia, he grounds out.
To me, this was the harder inning, the fourth inning, because he hits Utley to lead off the inning. So now you've got stress right away. And remember, the Cardinals only scored one in that first. All of us thought it would have been a lot better had they put a crooked number up there. Then the fielder's choice to Hunter Pence is out number one. And then Ryan Howard hits this little flare that Punto makes the play on and tries to double off the runner Pence, followed by a base hit. Again, it's Victorino. He had two of the hits for the Phillies. So now you've got first and third. Now you've got some major stress, and this was a big moment in this ball game. Carpenter got 3-2 on Raul Ibanez, and he hangs a pitch up in the middle of the plate, and it's back, and it's an out. I mean, that was scary. I think anybody who was a Cardinal fan thought that might be a problem.
And the sixth inning, once again, he's got an out, and then Utley comes up. He gets this one through on the right side, and he attempts a steal. Now, remember, he's a great percentage. First pitch curveball, and Molina guns him out. There's also that good tag by Punto as the throw was up a little bit, and he had to catch it on the run and get it down, and then the little ground ball to Punto, and they get out of the inning. So, Carpenter wasn't in a lot of jams, but he did not panic. And I go back to, us being in Houston when he pitched that great game to close out the season. And he told his teammates, you get me into the position, I will close this down for us, and I'll give us an opportunity. We'll win our ball game, and then we'll hope Philadelphia will lose those. When he came back on 3 days rest, didn't do the job, you knew that he was just dying to get a second opportunity. And it was just a pitching dream matchup. Tony talked about it. He even made the team lose on his birthday so he could set up this, win-win-win situation. But it was a classic game here today, and really there were no losers, and the Cardinals just move on.
They certainly do, and I think surprised many in baseball that they were able to take care of the Phillies in this fifth and decisive game tonight. Jaime Garcia, one of those starting pitchers that was so good in the early part of the season, had his struggles in the middle part and then was strong at the end. He also took part moments ago in an interview with Jim Hayes during the champagne celebration in Philadelphia. Jim?
First off, for you guys to get to this point when a lot of times during the season, it didn't look like you guys are going to get here. You guys still believe.
Oh, this is so exciting, man. These guys are great. I'm so fortunate to have a chance to play with these guys, and we've been battling, like you said. We've been just playing one single game at a time. Playing like it's the last game of the season, and here are the results. We're gonna keep doing it. We gotta keep doing this till the end. But yeah, definitely really excited. And I can't even explain how good I feel right now.
You're a young guy that's done a lot of good, but watching a guy like Carp in a do-or-die game tonight, what do you take away from that?
Oh, he's awesome, man. He did it in Houston when we really needed that game, and he did it again today. It was going to be a tough game for us because we had a great pitch. They had their best pitcher going and a really good team, but he came up good for us. He's a big horse, man. We're really fortunate to have him, and like I said, really excited, and we gotta keep doing good things.
Good job, and
thanks, Jim. Thanks to Jaime as well. The tweet is on, and that dude BP would be none other than Brandon Phillips.
I recognize that little handle there. How about that? Him actually saying congratulations to the Cardinals. I think that's a little classy move by our friend Mr. Phillips.
Could he be perhaps maturing a little bit?
Well, I hope so.
I think that
He's
shows
got a lot
maturity.
of flair, but, and this is an opportunity, frankly, and not to switch from our current bad boy is Nigel Morgan. He's the guy that we're not too excited about right now. And anybody that happened to see what he said after their team won shows you kind of the character and the class that unfortunately he demonstrated. But when you win a game like this, it's an opportunity to show yourself what makes you tick, what makes this team different. I thought Adam Wainwright's comments were great at the end of this game. Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, really the Cardinal guys I think acquitted themselves well, Al, by how they handled themselves in victory. And there's some humility that comes with that, but of course they're also excited.
Oh, they're definitely excited, but I think St. Louis may be beginning to realize what kind of guy Brandon Phillips is. He really is a class act. He does this frequently with his own fans, invites them. He's a guy that doesn't drink, unlike you. But he invites his own fans. He'll say, I'm sitting in the lobby someplace, come join me. He's even brought, told fans that if you get here such and such, I'll fly you to their next station. So Brandon Phillips really gets it about being fan-friendly, and that was just a little gesture, which was very classy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I like it a lot as well. The Nigel Morgan situation, in case you missed it, he let go some swear words on national TV, TBS, over and over and over again as he tried to celebrate with the fans.
And then said he didn't have anything to say.
And then he said, sorry, I don't have anything to say, as he became T-plush again, his alter ego.
He did have a big hit, though, I must say.
He had the biggest hit. The Brewers win, and so that's who the Cardinals will now face.
We're not ready to talk about that yet, are we?
Soon,
Still celebrating?
We will.
Okay.
And if the Cardinals and Brewers go to a Game 7, we have something that shows that they have the edge to the Cardinals. Best winning percentage in deciding games in all-time series, and you look at that, the Cardinals are 11-5 when the pressure is on, better than anybody else in the history of baseball.
Good to know.
So if it goes to a Game 7, you have to like the chances.
And you see how many times they actually had that situation.
Because they've gone to the postseason more than any other National League team.
Very indicative. Again, you've got a manager now. You've got coaches that are used to playing October baseball, and I think that's going to be an advantage for the Cardinals, clearly. Milwaukee still not quite used to that yet, although I do have great respect for their manager, Ron Renicky. I think he's done a nice job with that ball club. Their pitching is very good. Milwaukee, they have a very good lineup as well. And, you've got guys in the middle of that lineup you don't want to face, and you're going to have to face them 4 times a night, including Braun and Fielder. That is just a very, very good team. So I'm looking forward to playing them again.
In case you're wondering, the Yankees are 11-10 in decisive games of series, while the Cardinals, you saw, they're 11-5. So
it just
that would
seems
be
like
better.
number 10 showed up last night.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. He certainly did. The Cardinals were missing Nick Punto out of spring training. They lost him a couple of other times, and certainly he became a terrific player for them when he was healthy, and he proved that again during this postseason as well. Let's get back now to Philadelphia. That celebration continues in the clubhouse. Jim Hayes standing by with Nick Punto. Jim?
Said to a guy who almost single-handedly wins a Game 5, who outduels arguably the other best pitcher in the National League. Can he get a shredder? Is that legal?
I would think. I'm not sure if it happened.
You're not the guy.
Yeah, I'm not the guy that would know, but if you see the shredder, ask him.
How about this team again and again and again, do or die, It seems like you guys save your best games for when there may be no tomorrow, as there was tonight.
Absolutely. It's been like this, for a month straight. We've been playing in the biggest game of the year for a month straight. And, that was a fantastic, unbelievable game by Halladay, and then an even better one by Carpenter, which was incredible to play behind Carp tonight.
Does that help you guys when you've had a steady diet of do or dies? Does that help you when you're in the early going or facing elimination? Do you guys call upon that?
I just think we're dealing with an incredibly loose team that plays really well under those high pressure games.
Thanks, Nick.
So I'm not sure. The alter ego is the shredder. Well, we think it is, but he does a good job of hiding.
He just doesn't want to admit who he is.
No,
but that's
exactly
kind of fun. That's kind of silly what they did. They took Carpenter's shirt off. That's the shredder we're talking about. But what a moment that was to celebrate on the field. Now you're celebrating not in front of your home crowd, but I can tell you when the Cardinals do get a chance to play at Busch Stadium, and they earned a chance to do that again with their victory. You thought maybe you were done seeing the Cardinals play at home. You thought you might be worried about seeing Albert for the last time. Well, we get to see him for the last time again. And this is about the third time we've said that about Albert, but he's back again.
And we're guaranteed to see, Wednesday and Thursday? Friday if we need to. So the middle 3 games will be in St. Louis for this next round.
By the way, Ryan Howard, the word is from Charlie Manuel, severe ankle sprain. So it was not the Achilles, which is what you fear most.
That's better.
A severe ankle sprain heals in 4 to 6 weeks, but Achilles could be something that could obviously put him out for a long, long time.
And anytime a team loses, you feel for certain guys.
Yeah.
And, Ryan Howard's a St. Louisan, and he's had an outstanding career. He did not have a good series. He had a couple of opportunities today. He swung at a 3-0 pitch that might have been up out of the zone, trying to be a hero for his team, and didn't work out. He looked really kind of despondent throughout the whole game. It seemed like he was really struggling, trying to figure out how to beat Carpenter. And I also feel for their manager, Charlie Manuel, who I respect very much.
Yeah, there are some reports apparently coming out of Philadelphia that it wasn't Achilles, but Charlie Manuel says just a sprained ankle. An MRI tomorrow just to make sure there's no structural damage. He ends up hitting 105 for this series. Does Ryan Howard over?
Well, you remember the last 3 weeks, if not a month, he was suffering with that ankle and heel injury. So this is something that obviously he can get taken care of now. And, it was amazing for a guy that has destroyed Cardinal pitching, that he really just looked like he was so dejected and just looked like almost helpless watching him on the bench a couple times. But we know he's a great competitor, and we wish him a speedy recovery. And, we look forward to seeing him here in St. Louis area where he's got a great family.
The one thing we haven't really touched on all that much, Rick and Al, is the fact that the Cardinals were so hot. And sometimes when you're that hot team and you've been playing like playoff baseball all throughout the months of September, it carries you right into this postseason. And you have the opportunity sometimes to shock the baseball world like the Cardinals did tonight. Let's be honest, beating the Phillies the way they did.
Yeah, that's why we've seen so many times where a wild card team it just continue to play a hot series or a must-win series, that all of a sudden they get into postseason and they're not in awe of the atmosphere, because it's just another game that they have to win. And that's why a lot of times that wild card team is propelled and goes on to win the World Championship. And we hope that's the case here. 11-11 sounds good.
How about when Carpenter had a 3-0 pitch on Ryan Howard? I thought it was a very interesting moment in this game out with a 3-0 pitch. He throws a pitch up in the zone to Ryan Howard. Probably not a strike. Howard swings at it, lines out to right field, and Chris Carpenter is on the mound laughing. Now, Chris Carpenter is not the kind of guy you think is going to be laughing on the mound. I mean, he's very concerned about what people think about him, and he's such a serious kind of competitor type. But he's been a lot looser, I would say, and maybe it's, all these tight games and they're just having so much fun together that maybe it's changed his personality a little bit on the mound, but it was fun to watch.
And we also think he threw a pitch that we thought that he enjoyed, that he was able to kind of throw a BP fastball and get the out.
It was just a pitch up in the zone. It really didn't have much on it. And he was probably thinking Howard wasn't going to swing. He lines out, and then the next thing with the cut to Carpenter, he's laughing and smiling. And I don't know whether he's thinking, I just got away with one right there, or can you believe how things are just happening so well, even when I don't make a good pitch? That's kind of where I thought he was, but I guess we'll have to ask him to find out.
Trying to get a strike call or something or whatever, but it
worked
out, and he had a little smile about it, and he was smiling once he got that 27th out as well. We'll show you that 27th out as we go to break. We'll continue here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. More reaction coming your way. And don't forget, we got to break down the NLCS. Break it down in depth as the Cardinals will take on the Brewers. Game 1 on Sunday afternoon. Stay with us on Fox Sports Midwest.
Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is brought to you by Helitech. If your foundation walls are cracked or boring in, heal your home with Helitech. 1-800-246-9721. And by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win.
Chris Carpenter with that complete game shutout of the Phillies tonight as they take Game 5 and take the NLDS 1-0. The final, the champagne celebration just wrapping up there in Philadelphia. Jim Hayes moments ago, though, talking with Kyle Loesch. Jim?
It's Kyle Loesch. I got to ask you, usually pitchers tend to wear the goggles in these postseason celebrations. I'm a veteran. I don't see many goggles.
We're going old school, no goggles over here.
Who made that decision? Whose idea was that?
I mean,
because your eyes are a little red. Right?
It's a good burn. It's a very good burn right now. I don't know why we're going no goggles, but we're just doing it.
That's very nice because you guys are tough guys. You saw Carp. What did you think of his performance tonight? I mean, that's what an ace does.
That's Carp right there. I mean, tonight that explains what he is. He went out there and the game we needed him the most. And, I mean, he wasn't going to let anything happen. He took care of that team in this park. That's not a small feat. You know, he did it, and there was no way he was coming out of that game, I don't think.
From what you saw, what was working for him?
Everything. You know, he was getting ahead of guys. I mean, his stuff was on point tonight. So, I mean, he's the man, and that he just showed it why tonight, you know.
Kyle Loesch, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Kyle.
Jim, thanks very much. Tweet is on. Dirty Martini 74 tweets, "In Carp we trust, and the Rally Squirrel too."
Carp's going to win more games than a Rally Squirrel, I can tell you that right now.
I believe so. Don't forget the Rally Squirrel it was there and they didn't win in Game 3. And they were already in the lead in Game 4 when the Rally Squirrel showed up.
And if we are guessing right, Kyle Loesch, who we just heard from, might be the pitcher in Game 1.
Yeah, I think he will be. And, you know, Kyle Loesch pitched very well down the stretch. And, you know, he opened the series. What a great job he did, matched up against Halladay for 5 innings, and then things got away from him. But I think we're all looking forward to seeing Kyle Loesch and seeing all the Cardinal players playing once again. And it starts Sunday in Milwaukee.
John Jay, of course, not starting tonight because he was 1 for 11 in his career against Roy Halladay. Did enter the game, though, when Skip Schumacher had the left oblique strain, and he was able to finish the game in center field. Of course, a huge part of this Cardinal success all season long. Let's get back now to Philadelphia and hear from John Jay. Jim?
Here, I got a towel. Towel me, I got a towel.
Yeah.
I got him.
Thanks, John Jay.
I'm taking my towel back.
John Jay is the only con player in here. The bullpen catcher, Murph, not a friend, but John Jay is. He handed me a towel. You heard me?
Wow, I'm your biggest fan.
All right, thank you. There had to be one out there. What's it like being out there in Philadelphia? Hostile crowd. One of the best pitchers in baseball on the mound for them. Obviously, you guys had Carp, but once again, it seemed that the deck was stacked against you.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible game, you know, coming in a place like this and coming out here like that. And Carp did a great job. He set the tone early, and, you know, we let it ride.
You're a guy that I think that watches what you say very carefully, but a young guy in the postseason playing in this environment, I mean, you had to be like, wow.
Oh, it was great. It was awesome. It was, you know, it's what you dream of as a little kid, you know, to go out there and, you know, looking around all the fans everywhere. It was a great experience. So,
all right, John Jay, thanks for the time. Thanks.
Jim, thank you very much. We'll get back to him in just a moment here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. John Jay has been, well, he was the guy that had to take over the job at center field full-time when they made the Colby Rasmus trade, which obviously paid huge dividends as far as the bullpen and the starting rotation went. But that was a lot of pressure on a young player.
There was pressure on him, but what I like about it is he's been rewarded with this pressure by getting to go to the National League Championship Series. And as I watch him being interviewed by Jim Hayes, I'm struck, guys, by the fact that there's some young Cardinal players that are getting the taste of what it's like to play in October. Who knows how far they can go, but I think it's part of the development of a player like John Jay, like Mitchell Boggs, like Jason Mott, to get used to winning, to get used to games like that, to being under the kind of the microscope and the pressure and all that goes along with playing October baseball. So Al, to me, this is a good thing in multiple ways when you think about the young players.
Especially when we're talking about, say, like a club like Milwaukee that's had a little taste of postseason. But when you have the experience and so many veteran guys, and then you can bring along a couple of the younger guys, a few years down the road, they're going to be the ones that are going to be helping out the younger players and kind of set this mode and teach guys what it takes to win. It's real easy to be a loser, but to win, you have to commit yourself. You have to do a lot of things that dig down deep, work that much harder in order to be a winner. And John Jay is getting a taste of that. And I think we don't talk about the Colby Rasmus trade anymore. We understood why that trade was made, and the team was better, and it really started playing much better after that team.
And John Mozeliak and his staff identified what they needed as far as help goes. They made that trade. Edwin Jackson was the guy they got in return, and he certainly helped the rotation immediately. Let's go back to Philadelphia now. Jim Hayes did catch up with Edwin Jackson moments ago. Jim?
All right, from your perspective, you're a little cold?
Cold, a little cold.
Good,
yeah.
but it's good. It's a good cold.
Oh, definitely a good cold. Definitely a good cold.
I guess the story of the night is advancing to face Milwaukee, but you wouldn't have gotten there without really a yeoman's effort from Chris Carpenter. You're a pitcher. Tell us what you saw from him.
Oh, definitely. That was unbelievable tonight. you know, that's the performance that we needed, and we look forward to having him on the mound. And he definitely stepped up tonight in a clutch situation and closed the situation down, especially when he got an early run. And he did a great job of not allowing them to score.
You did your work already. Do you sit back? I mean, obviously you're rooting, you're on the edge of your seat for every pitch, but you're also seeing a great pitching matchup. Do you sit back and just appreciate what went on out there in terms of pitching tonight?
Oh, definitely. It's funny when you catch yourself in awe when you're watching two guys like that compete on the mound tonight like they did. And, I mean, it was a 1-0 ball game. You can't ask for much more, and I'm sure everybody who came out got their money's worth, whether losing or winning. If you appreciate the game of baseball, you can't ask for much more in a game like that. And it was just an all-around great performance overall defensively and on the pitching aspect as well.
When you came to St. Louis, this is what you were hoping for, a taste of the playoffs, and now it continues.
Oh, definitely. We need 2 more champagne showers. We take them one at a time, though. We're going to enjoy the night, and then we get ready to go into Milwaukee and get focused on that series.
Thanks for the time. Congratulations. Edwin.
Jim, thank you, and Edwin Jackson will certainly be asked to carry his fair share of the load coming up in this NLCS.
We said Carp was clutch, well, so was Jackson a number of times, really over the last few weeks. And one of the things that Jackson pointed out was the defense. He said the pitching was very good, but so was the defense. We talked about Yadi's play, which was outstanding, but we also got probably the play of the series in terms of the kind of the magnitude of the importance and how good the play was, and that was turned in by Furcal.
Yeah, Furcal, we know he has a strong arm. We also know that he moves to the ball pretty well, but this is just outstanding, Al.
Yeah, he goes and dives. Remember, a couple days ago, he had a little hamstring pull, too. And then when he dives, scrambles up, and he guns the ball over to first base. He did have the catcher Ruiz running, but doesn't take anything away from the sensational play. And at that time, and then remember Puto later on in the inning makes a nice play and a ball that caromed off for Carpenter, and he came in and made an off-balance throw. But here you see that superior arm strength as he guns the ball over and using every aspect of that body to get it over there.
And it was Ruiz running, which helped a little bit, but certainly an outstanding play by Rafael Furcal. Let's get back to Philadelphia one more time during that champagne celebration. Jim Hayes was able to catch up with the owner of the Cardinals, Bill DeWitt Jr. Jim?
What do you think of your ball club?
Fantastic. I mean, you know, you put the ball in Carp's hand on a key game, and look what you got. Last game of the season here, no runs. I mean, he's incredible.
I know that along with being a good businessman, team owner, you're a baseball fan, maybe first and foremost. And to see Holiday and Carp duel like that, that was a lot of fun. Even if you have a rooting interest, it's just fun to watch.
It really is. It's great to see two pitchers of that quality. I mean, they're both top of the rotation, best in the league type pitchers. And, I mean, you know, it was billed as a pitching duel all the way from day one, and it lived up to its billing. That truly is a game for the ages. I'll be talking about that game for a long time.
10.5 games out, late August. Did you still believe, or are you thinking, all right, let's start planning for next year?
Just keep playing loose and keep winning baseball games. That's what I like.
All right, Bill, thanks for the time.
We all remember during that stretch certain guys saying certain things, and I think the one thing that sticks out in my mind for the Cardinals, we were doing a pregame show, and Mike Shannon happened to be on, and it was right before the Braves series that they ended up sweeping the Braves, and Mike Shannon said, this will make them loose. Just go out and play the game. Get one win at a time. And it absolutely was the right way to approach it. And then you began to, the realm of possibility started to creep in.
Yeah, whether players want to admit it or not, and, you know, Berkman sort of said it because he's a realist, that, you know, they pretty much were out of it. And they were out of it, you know, unless Atlanta Braves had a historic collapse. But once you just relaxed, and then they just let their natural instincts and their talents take over, and they just played real loose and said, hey, let's go as far as our talent will take us. Tony always says, you know, I like my ball club in spring training. We'll find out if we're good enough. And right now he's found out that this is a pretty good ball club.
And up until that point, when the Cardinals started getting everything together, they were a bit of an enigma because they were leading the National League in batting. They were leading the league in runs scored, RBIs, a lot of offensive categories. It's a team that hit with power, but they just weren't putting it all together. But that sure changed in September. They started putting it together left and right, and every single night, just, again, the different hero comment. But it was a team that just seemed to get some synergy that was really lacking early on. And that came from having a bullpen that was hot, starting pitchers that were going deep in the game. game. But I think the clutch hit really became important, too. We saw this Cardinal team do more with 2 outs and nobody on in the last month than they did the rest of the season combined. And isn't it interesting, guys, that we have 3 teams at that time, the weakest divisions in baseball, the American League Central and the National League Central, and now we have 3 of the 4 teams in it are from those 2 divisions.
Because those teams got hot, and it didn't matter what division you came from. Playing great baseball in September and then in October, you'll be there.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll go back to the rough stages. You know, there were times we talked about this team being underachievers. You know, that we knew it was a very good ball club. And as you said, you know, they had some nice individual statistics. The team batting average was so good, but, you know, it didn't show up on a nightly basis. So, you know, we knew and recognized it was a good ball club, but it wasn't until they started putting things together. And I'll be the first one to tell you, once they kind of solidified the bullpen, everything kind of took charge, because there's nothing more demoralizing to go out and play a hard 8 innings and then see it all dissolve in the last inning.
And the defense got better, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Rafael Furcal had a lot to do with that.
Absolutely right about that. By the way, an update now on Lafayette product Ryan Howard. Contrary to what Charlie Manuel is saying, now there are multiple media reports, including TBS, that are now saying it is an Achilles injury, and he'll have an MRI tomorrow. So you hope for the best that it won't set him back and take his entire offseason to overcome a serious injury like an Achilles injury. When we come back on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, you'll hear more from Chris Carpenter. The ace was ace-like. Best game of his career, perhaps. Certainly the biggest of the season. Stay with us. Al, you mentioned Gibby earlier. Well, this is not the first great pitching performance from a Cardinal ace in a must-win game. Flashing back to Game 7 of the '67 World Series, Bob Gibson lights out, throwing a complete game, of course, striking out 10 and allowing just 2 earned runs as the Cards clinch their second World Series crown of the decade, beating the Red Sox 7-2. Back to something a little more recent. How about 2004? We're flashing back to Game 7 of the NLCS. Cardinals hosting the Astros. Jeff Suppan giving up a leadoff home run, and the Astros threatening again in the second before Jim Edmonds with that amazing catch, a catch for the ages. And then in the bottom of the 6th, Scott Rowland takes Roger Clemens deep, puts the Redbirds up 4-2. Suppan rock solid, throwing 6 innings, allowing 1 earned run as the Cards celebrate a Game 7 win in October that night. Fast forward 2 years, Suppan on the mound again for the NLCS, Game 7, this time against the Mets. And again, after allowing a run in the first, Sup shuts down the opposition, not allowing another earned run. The game would be tied 1-1 in the top of the 9th when Yadier Molina takes Aaron Heilman deep, put the Cards on top. And then, of course, we all remember what Adam Wainwright, as the closer, did then as he buckles the knees of Carlos Beltran. Cardinals celebrate with a do-or-die win in 2006. And then tonight, well, Chris Carpenter, in a do-or-die performance, well, he was every bit as good as Bob Gibson.
Yeah, all those performances we just looked at were good, but this one was really great. I mean, you think about what he did against this lineup with all the pressure of pitching on the road against a team that's, you know, very powerful in a ballpark that's small with everything on the line. And Chris Carpenter just could not have been better today. And I'm just so impressed with him, what he's done the last few weeks. His inning total is extraordinarily high, but he seems as if he could pitch for another month. Let's just hope he keeps that up for at least a few more weeks.
About 3 more weeks will probably do for him. Best pitching performances in decisive games by the Cardinals. And Al, you see some of the great postseason pitchers for the Cardinals of all time.
Yeah, Bob Gibson, you know, I mean, he's by far, you know, got to be number 1. Danny Cox, boy, he had some big years. Ricky was on that team. Suppan, you know, the real difference there, you don't want to take anything away from him, but going 6 and 7 innings, that's a big far cry from completing the game. And then Carpenter tonight put himself right there in the upper echelons of Cardinal pitchers in clutch performances in postseason.
And Danny Cox, I can tell you in that game, I just saw Danny this week in '87. He had the same attitude as Carpenter. Just try to come take the ball out of my hand in that 9th inning. I mean, he was basically, it was his game, that's it. And we certainly know that you don't want to go out and try to take Bob Gibson out of a game.
No, you did not want to do that. Chris Carpenter was able to talk with the media at the podium a few minutes ago. Let's bring some of that to you right now here on Cardinals Live.
I mean, it was an unbelievable night. I mean, you have to look at all kinds of things. First, Roy Halladay's probably at this time the best pitcher in the game, and we come out and we're able to jump on him early and get a quick run, which was huge. Secondly, I went out and was able to do the things that I wasn't able to do in Game 2, and that was get ahead in the count, control the strike zone with my fastball, and use my breaking ball when I needed to. That being said, you look at our game. There's huge plays for call. Punto, Molina throwing out Chase, John Jay catching that ball there in the last inning. Ryan Howard flying out on a 3-0 pitch. I mean, that's for me as a pitcher, that's an enormous play for that game. So I mean, you look at the whole game and everything that went on in that game, and it was just a tremendous job by our ball club.
In the back,
Chris, can you just talk about specifically what you were doing, what the ball was doing to produce all those ground balls, which in a park like this is obviously key?
Yeah, keeping the ball down in the strike zone, sinking the ball down with my fastball, keeping my breaking ball down, staying ahead in the count. And when you do that, you get those guys who obviously are a fabulous hitting ball club. You get them in swing mode. Yeah, if you're aggressive and they know that if they don't swing, you're going to be 1-2, 0-2, whatever it is, early in the count. Or behind in the count, that they're going to start swinging, and then that's when you can start expanding the strike zone, getting the ball down, getting them swinging at things that you want them to swing at, and producing ground balls.
Off the bat, did you know you had it early?
I'm not concerned about how I feel. It's about executing. My stuff's the same every single time I go out there.
other questions for Carp? David, we'll get you the microphone.
Thanks. The TV showed a graphic right after the game that this is only the third time that there's been a 1-0 final in a deciding game of a series. I think the others were Jack Morris. I don't know if you remember anything from that game, but if you remember watching everything. But just talk about the magnitude of doing something like this, especially from where you guys were this season and what you faced in this series.
Right. I've said it all along. I said it when we had the opportunity to get into the playoffs. And I said it the other day, yesterday, I guess, when I was doing the interview here. The magnitude of this game has been the same as it's been for the last month and a half with our ball club and for me. The magnitude of 2 Wednesdays ago in Houston, it was an enormous game. If I go out and get shelled and we lose, we have no chance, just like tonight. And we've been dealing with that the whole time. And I think that the looseness of our ball club helps us go out and compete the way we're competing. For me, it's another game. I'm going out to do the best I can to get my team a chance to win and move on to the next round. If we don't, I can tell you one thing, everybody in that clubhouse is going to look at me and know that I gave them 110%, just like I will everybody else. And fortunately, like I said, it was a nice win for us, and we were able to come out on top and move on.
Certainly summarizing the season in a nutshell, Chris Carpenter able to identify the looseness of the clubhouse, which we've been talking about for months.
Yeah, what I really loved there is he just talked about it's not how I feel, it's how I execute. Mm-hmm. And he didn't execute the first day, and he was the first one to tell you. He didn't have command, he wasn't ahead in the count, and he didn't have fastball command, and he got in trouble. Well, here tonight, he just did what he had to do. You know, pressure's a word. It's how you define that word. Some people crash under it, other people thrive under it. And I think what the Cardinal players are doing right now, playing in a pressure situation, they are so relaxed, having fun, seizing the moment, and just knowing that if they go out and give their best effort, they can look themselves in the mirror and they'll smile at having that opportunity. They're having fun.
And the only way to seize the moment, Al, is to be in the moment. And that's what Chris Carpenter explains so well. And I think what this team has done very well is you don't look back, you don't look forward, you look at the game that you have. And every time we hear them say that, we go, oh, here they go saying that again. That's what athletes always say after a game. Well, the reason they say that after a win is because that's what they're trying to do. That's really where they're getting their mind. If you're worried about the last time you pitched against Roy Halladay and, he shut you out, or you're worried about what might happen if we go to Game 7 when you're in Game 2, you just can't compete as well. You have to be in that moment to be able to seize that moment, and Chris Carpenter is kind of the quintessential Cardinal at doing that, and I think Tony La Russa certainly leads in that direction, but this club has been very successful at being in the moment.
We will look forward to the Cardinals' next game coming up in a moment. We'll also look back at tonight's highlights. We can look back, we can look forward, we're going to look back. Yeah, we got to listen to some of tonight's action when we come back on Cardinals Live. Stay with us.
And he checks at third, and here's the 2-2 pitch. Swinging a shot into the right field corner. If it's fair, it's trouble. It is fair, and the Cardinals lead 1-0. Schumacher, with his 6th hit in this series, into second base with an RBI double.
Teammates in Toronto, now on the opposite side of things in the decisive Game 5 tonight in Philadelphia. Since 1997, their Major League Baseball ranks among active pitchers, and you see where they stand. 2 of the best in baseball. 3 Cy Youngs between the two of them, and perhaps Chris Carpenter may have deserved another one, and certainly may have had another one had he not been hurt a couple of times during that stretch.
And they're both winners, too, not just the hardware they get at the end of the year, but you look at their winning percentage. To me, that's what stands out. Chris Carpenter, 144 wins. Halladay, 188. And especially as a Cardinal, Chris Carpenter has been a winner.
A great pitching matchup between Carpenter and Halladay. Mike Shannon and John Rooney bring you the highlights from tonight's game, courtesy of KMOX 1120 AM, and, of course, TBS Sports.
And he checks at third, and here's the 2-2 pitch. Swinging a shot into the right field corner. If it's fair, it's trouble. It is fair, and the Cardinals lead 1-0. Schumacher, with his 6th hit in this series, into second base with an RBI double.
There goes Victorino, the pitch, a swing and a long drive right field. Back goes Berkman. He's at the wall and makes the catch.
Here's the pitch. The runner goes. He is out at second base as they call him out on a fantastic tag by Punto.
Now the next one by Chris. A swing and a ground ball up the middle for Carl. Dives. He has it. Gets to his feet. Throws him out. Throws him out at first. What a play by for Carl. A good stretch by Pujols helped him out.
2-2 pitch. Headed home. Swing and a ground ball to the second baseman. Here's the throw to first. Out at first, and the Cardinals win this one 1-0 as Carpenter goes the distance. What a job by Chris Carpenter. He was phenomenal tonight. He shuts out this very hot Philadelphia club.
Celebration began at that point after the 1-0 victory. Chris Carpenter, the complete game shutout. What a gem by him. Just 3 hits allowed. And the Cardinals, with only 1 run scored, and that off the bat of Skip Schumacher, second hitter of the game after Rafael Furcal began the game with a triple.
Cardinals have been complaining about shadows. Both these starting pitchers brought their own shadows with them. I mean, you can just not see the ball off of Halladay, Carpenter, late movement. Both those guys just carving up the strike zone.
Certainly were, as Chris Carpenter just was able to outduel his buddy in Roy Halladay, and he also got one up on Halladay too because he got a single off of him.
Got a base hit off him, but how many times do you see a pitching matchup that is billed as one of the best games ever, and it just doesn't materialize? Well, today the fans got to see a great game, and hopefully a lot of these fans that don't like low-scoring games saw how much fun a 1-0 game can be, where you're riding on every single pitch could be the outcome of the game.
We talked earlier about the history of Cardinal pitchers with Bob Gibson at the top of the list. What about this list? Just the 3rd pitcher in Cardinal history to pitch a complete game shutout in a decisive playoff game is Chris Carpenter. The first was Dizzy Dean in Game 7 of the World Series in '34, and Danny Cox, Ricky's teammate, the 1987 NLCS Game 7 as well against the Giants.
Again, Mr. DeWitt said it in his interview with Jim Hayes afterwards. He said this is going to be a game that we're going to remember for a very, very long time. This is a game for the ages, and Chris Carpenter could not have been better.
A couple of producers in my ear asked if you were teammates of Dizzy Dean, Al, and I thought that was very unfair.
No, well, briefly. It was my final month, was his first.
It's the dizziness that got us thrown off there.
And Daffy Dean was also a teammate of yours as well. Another Game 5 today. The Brewers hosting the Diamondbacks as this historic playoffs of 2011 continue. Game 5 in Milwaukee, picking up scoreless top of the third. Justin Upton absolutely smokes a ball the other way, and it's gone. Puts the Diamondbacks up 1-0. And this is another team that had a chance to go on the road and win a decisive Game 5, but it's 1-1 now in the 6th, and Yuneski Betancourt pokes a single to the outfield. Ryan Braun scores. Brewers have their first lead of that game at 2-1. Bottom of the ninth now, same score. Top of the ninth now. Willie Bloomquist up with runners on first and third, lays down the squeeze, and Axelford has his first blown save since April 18th because the game's tied at 2. They go to extra innings in the bottom of the 10th. Rick Horton's favorite player right now on any opposition, it's Niger Morgan up with speedy Carlos Gomez on second base, and a 2-2 pitch, a single up the middle. The throw to the plate will not be in time, and the Brewers win their first series since the 1982 ALCS when they went on to the World Series and lost, of course, to the Cardinals.
It's a good ball club, no doubt. They have kind of the mojo going as well. Good lineup, good starting pitching.
So the NLCS looks like this. The Cardinals and the Brewers, remember, we'll have post-game coverage after every game on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. First game will be on Sunday with a 3:05 Central Time first pitch in Milwaukee. Game 1 and 2 in Milwaukee, 3, 4, and 5 in St. Louis, and 6 and 7 if needed back in Milwaukee. The tweet is on. Let T. Plush know Alberta and the Cards are coming.
And that's a reference to him calling Albert Alberta after he thought he was whining after a particular game.
Yeah, apparently he did. We'll talk much more about that. In fact, show you his tweet when we come back on Missouri Lottery, Cardinals Live.
Greinke strikes out Berkman. Watch out. That ball hits Albert. That one in tight on Ryan Braun.
And now you don't have to wonder.
Ball hit hard to left. Back goes Braun. He's at the track. A leadoff home run for Rafael Furcal. Ball hit hard to center field. This ball is gone. And that one's launched.
Morgan a swing and a miss. Strike out for Carpenter. Carpenter goes the distance. 2-0 shutout over Milwaukee.
Here's the schedule for the National League Championship Series between the Cardinals and the Brewers. It begins on Sunday in Milwaukee. Game 1, a 3 o'clock Central Time start. All the games except for the Sunday games will be at 7 o'clock. And you see games 3, 4, and 5 here in St. Louis Wednesday, Thursday, and if necessary on Friday. Obviously, there's a little bit of bad blood between these two teams here in 2011. Tempers have flared a couple of times between the Cards and Brewers. Flashing back to August 2nd, the 7th inning. Takashi Saito hits Albert Pujols in the hand to load the bases. Pujols obviously displeased by being hit. Then in the bottom of the 7th, the Cards exact a bit of revenge. Jason Mott misses with his first inside pitch to Ryan Braun, but then drills him on the very next pitch. Cooler heads prevail, but as they say in the schoolyard, it was on. Fast forward to September 7th. That's what it said in my script. Okay. Chris Carpenter dominating the Brewers. In the 9th inning, he strikes out Niger Morgan and may or may not have yelled something at T. Plush. Morgan takes offense, screams something back. Carpenter throwing, throwing some barbs back and forth. The wad of tobacco comes out, aimed at Chris Carpenter. And once again, it was on. Remember, right after that, T. Plush, the one and the same Niger Morgan, his alter ego, tweeted, Alberta couldn't see Plush if she had her gloves on. What was she thinking running after Plush? She never been in the ring. And also, T. Plush tweeting, we're still in first, and I hope those crying birds enjoy watching the crew in the playoffs. Aha.
Spelling a problem.
Well, when you're tweeting, most phones have some spell checks to them, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I don't. The autocorrect isn't going to go to enjoy I-N-J-O-Y, I can tell you that. But I mean, the point is, whether he's spelling well or not, he's trying to incite the Cardinals. He did a pretty good job of doing that, with his tweets. And, you know, honestly, if you're his manager, and Tony La Russa actually came out at the time and said, if he was my player, I'd get him to stop doing it. Because, you know, the point is, it's hard enough to beat a team in the big leagues without kind of, you know, annoying them as well. Because, not that, again, you should need any more incentive than you already have to win a ball game. But, you know, to me, that's not the fun part of the game. I like the way Nigel Morgan plays the game on the field. He's an electric player. He's a good hitter. He's a good defender. He does a lot of things right, but I could do without some of his tweets.
And even his manager, Ron Renicky, said that he did not appreciate it. And, you know, you try to win with class, and that's not class. Of course, I think the Cardinals players would like to stop seeing the beast. That's their new thing. When they score runs or get a big hit or something like that, they'll get out there and, hey, you know, the beast.
You're scaring me, Al.
I'm coming after you.
He's scaring me.
That was almost Mad Hungarian-like right there.
That's a little. We got the shredder.
No, they have been doing that. They have been doing. They get on first base and they'll do that.
We have the shredder. We got that.
But we wait till after the game.
The rally squirrel.
You only do that to yourself, but you know, there's a joke that goes along after that.
There is?
Yeah, but we won't use it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. I'll hear that later.
We'll have to wait for. Sorry, you're not going to be able to hear that at home, unfortunately. The key to the one of the keys to the NLCS will likely be Rafael Furcal, because remember, he hit 5 of his 7 home runs as a Cardinal against the Brewers, and he seems to really love to hit against them in their park.
Both left-handed and right-handed.
Yes.
He's hit well in Milwaukee, and you know, he had a string where he was making some errors, and probably had about a one week timetable where he made 4 or 5 errors, and you know, so he really did struggle. But he seemed to be very smooth today. I expect a big series out of him. You know, he said in his post-game sound that he likes to win. I mean, who doesn't at the big league level? But I think he could be a key player in the series.
Al, they split the season series 9-9, but remember, the Cardinals won 6 of the final 7, so perhaps T-Plush did awaken a slumbering giant in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, Milwaukee had that great run at home where they were just almost undefeated at home. They were winning so few. And it was the Cardinals that had back-to-back wins there. And as you said, down the stretch, the Cardinals made things quite painful for Milwaukee, and that's hopefully just a start of what's going to happen in the League Championship Series.
And you could make the argument that the Brewers were not really playing their best baseball over that last month. They ran away from the Cardinals, got that 10.5 game lead, and just kind of, you know, camped out there.
Got starting pitching problems right now,
Yeah,
too.
they do. And really, I think one of the things that the Cardinals have to do, and you know, we've heard them say this every team they've been playing. They said that when they played Atlanta. They said that playing Phillies is, we can't really worry about the other guys. And I think the Cardinal players, we can worry about T-Plush. We can not like him. We can tweet to our heart's content. But if you're a Cardinal player, you got to worry about what you're doing and just keep it up. And just forget really who you're playing, understand their weaknesses and attack those. But in terms of the personality issues, you know, kind of leave that off to the side, worry about that later.
Always say, if you don't want them to do the beast and you don't want them to Nigel Morgan to run around, just beat them. That's all you have to do. We have one more. The tweet is on, a tweet here at FS Midwest. This comes from Jake. It says, I bet the Brewers are getting nervous about the ever-growing STL animal kingdom.
Well, obviously that's the cat in the clubhouse. It's Adam Wainwright said there are a bunch of lions, and of course we have the rally squirrel and tortoise.
Torty. We got a Torty the tortoise. Torty Craig. Absolutely. And don't forget Big Puma. How can we forget Big Puma?
Where's Marlon Perkins when you need him?
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
There you go.
Of course I remember him. The celebration continues. We love to see this. We're going to have to re-cue this over and over again. Stay with us. Well, the Cardinals take care of the Phillies tonight in the decisive Game 5 in Philadelphia. 1-0, the shutout final. Chris Carpenter, the gem. And so that means the Cardinals are off to the NLCS. They'll take on the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee for the best-of-7 series beginning on Sunday. And, we didn't give the Cardinals, a lot of us, a whole lot of chance to make it this far way back, say, in August. But we didn't quit believing. We just knew it was going to be a very difficult challenge.
And it's exciting that they are still in this. I mean, I think there's at least 5 times that all of us would have said, well, they're down to their
That's
last
it.
strike,
Yep.
they're down to their last game, and yet they're still kicking.
They certainly are. Al, it is final take time, so we'll start with you. Final take after this exciting and heart-stopping victory.
Well, congratulations to Tony La Russa, Bill DeWitt Jr., and all the players. Enjoy themselves tonight. Have a happy flight, and then get ready for the campaign against Milwaukee. That should be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some more baseball here in St. Louis.
And congratulations to the game of baseball for putting on a great product over the last couple of weeks, not just in this series, but throughout the game. And also congratulations to Cardinal fans who've kind of jumped in and just been so excited. You're going to get another chance to root for the boys. They're coming back home in a few days, hopefully with at least one of the games in Milwaukee.
Looking forward to that beginning on Sunday. And don't forget, after every one of the NLCS games, turn over right here to Fox Sports Midwest, your home for Cardinal baseball, and we'll have all the post-game coverage. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching this celebratory edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday after Game 1.